Okay. Oh, do you have your phone on you?
I do. Do you want it?
Do you have? Is your phone what you have your alarm on?
A good question. Probably, yeah. Should I set something?
So when you wake up in the morning,
Oh, great. Here we go. Yeah.
is that your?
Yeah,
Do
it
you use your
was. It was. Now it's only my second tier. Now I use my watch.
Is it on you when you
because-
sleep?
Yeah, it's on me when I sleep. So it's a
So
Fitbit and it lasts a long time. So the battery will last like, I don't know, 4 days or 5. And so it vibrates and there's no audio. So it's just enough to just kind of wake me up. So that's pretty great.
Does it? I like that.
Yeah.
So does it have anything? Does it link to your phone? Does it tell you when people text you?
Yeah. It does the text thing too.
Is that? How do you like that?
I like that. Okay. It's
Because when you're talking to someone and then they're like, "Hey, so my mom's in the hospital," you're like, "Yeah." Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay.
yeah.
Are you listening to me?
Yeah.
No, because I have a text.
I know. Yeah, I'm always pulled away, but I don't.
What if I were to pull a phone out of my pocket and be like, "One second." No, I was just checking what time it was.
Right. That's right. Yeah. I'm just checking the time. Yeah, no big deal. I mean, the problem, right, isn't the checking. I think the problem is that your face changes, right? Like, because if you're like, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's one thing I've noticed about Ty Boyce. And I love it so much because he'll be like, he's always so busy and frantic and
Right.
everywhere, and I'm so excited to get him on this.
Yeah.
Because like, what does that even
Oh
look
my
like?
God, I can't imagine.
Yeah, so he's been talking to me, and he's like, hold on a second, and he makes this face that's just this oldest man face at a phone. And he texts, and he's like, okay, back to you, and I'm like, dude, I don't know what I was saying.
Yeah, you've totally changed the
I
tone.
love the face. But yeah, I'm the same kind of person. I'll hold my phone out here. I don't have bad eyesight. I'll just do it because I've seen people do that.
Yeah.
And it looks like, okay.
Yeah. There's an art of phone holding. The other thing that I got when I was young, I remember I saw one of the saddest things in my life, which was this old, really large and out of shape dude, and it was an early phone, so it's like a flip phone, so it's way smaller than this, and he's like back with his belly out, 2 hands, and I was like, you know what, that's not for me. It's got to be like this. Well, I probably don't actually look like this, but like one hand out like that. Like you don't need more than one hand, So
I feel like I
that's
have
the
seen
goal.
you use your phone and been like, wow, what a robot.
Yeah. That's the goal. The goal is to be more robotic.
Yeah, I mean, so my daughter's not allowed to, like, if she looks at her phone like this, then it gets taken away.
Text neck.
Yeah, so there's all sorts of stuff that she'll lay on her stomach. And and she's like on the couch, and her back is like this way, and her head is like, she's almost doing the opposite, which I don't care.
Yeah,
that's fine.
Maybe it's better.
Just don't do that thing where you get that hunch in your back, and your neck your head comes out of right here, and then you look like it's
tough. It's an
weird.
epidemic.
Yeah,
it really is. Yeah, I know. It's like, well, and I've gotten physical therapy to try to improve my posture, and so because I've had back stuff, and so they sometimes they say up straight, and actually your head should be slightly down, but I don't know how much. And I think either way, if you're looking down, you do hunch forward. It's tough.
See, when I was young, my mom would always come through, and she'd put her hand on my back, which was like, okay, I'm doing this, and she'd touch me, and I go, okay, and then she'd go, take a deep breath, roll your shoulders back, and then exhale.
That's great. The roll in the shoulders is great.
It's like, okay, but then I don't know, she was mostly full of shit, so I was like, you know what? Guess what? GameCube. I'm gonna stick like this on purpose because you're an idiot.
Well, yeah,
That's
the double bind, right? Like that. That's one of those laws of motion. Like each motion deals with like an opposite motion, and it's like parents have to tell you things not to do, but you want to like. This is like the dumbest thing ever, but it's true, right? Because I haven't been thinking about that. Like, how would I tell someone? I don't know. I always admire your firmness. I feel like when you tell your daughter stuff, it's like, this is how it is. And you don't always do that. So I feel like you kind of get to save those up, the moments of authority.
That's true. And sometimes I just kind of hit it in like a triple shot because we were at a comedy thing in Portland, and it was the big park show.
Yeah.
And everybody's kind of talking afterwards, and she goes, hey, this is really boring. And I was like, okay. So, and then like 5 minutes later, she's like, can we go to the bathroom? It's like, yeah, okay. So we go to the bathroom, and I was like, here we go. Not everything's about you. I appreciate you being patient with this. Thanks for that.
Nice.
Boom.
That's
like,
great.
That's because then she doesn't have to go like, I didn't mean to make it about me. It's not what I'm trying to do. It's because she will immediately, before you're even done saying something, try to be like, no, that's not. I'm not trying to do that.
Yeah.
At mom's house, I get to just all sorts of like things that it's like, damn it, I was that.
Yeah.
Oh, I know that one. Okay, so, hello everybody, and thank you for joining us here on How Day You Do, the podcast and show about how does your day go. What do you do? So we just learned from Lars Soderlund here. Guess Lars Soderlund.
Lars Soderlund's me.
Hey, that you used to use your phone,
right?
But now you have a simple vibration wake up.
Correct. That's right. Yeah, and actually, the question of waking up is interesting because, as somebody who's a professor and doesn't have like always a firm schedule except for the stuff I have to teach, lately I've been able to have some of those coveted days where I don't have an alarm, and I just kind of wake up. But it's kind of weird. Because I'm also one of those people that can say, hey, body, wake up at 6 a.m., and then I'll get this weird nagging thing in my sleep and wake up, and it's like 5:55.
Yeah.
So that's like half the time it's not as important as I thought. You know what I mean?
Today I set my alarm an hour earlier, and I woke up an hour earlier, which was 10 minutes before my alarm.
That's crazy.
So it's like I knew what time I was waking up. I wonder if it's so... Does our body understand like this amount of light hitting my skin is like, okay, that's what's happening. So there's also certain things like when you have a dog in the car and you go somewhere, you have the windows up so they're not really smelling the outside that much. I think they understand the pattern of which way you're turning. Like, oh, there's 3 of these in a row. Oh shit, I know where we're going. Oh yeah, here we go. Oh, that's one right turn if you're going 3 lefts. But anyway, yeah, I always thought that like dogs understand like based on like how the car is moving,
right,
where you're going.
I think that's right. I don't. If I had to guess why the dog's doing that, the smelling I feel like is a big deal, and I feel like they build off kind of your energy. But I don't know, man. I mean, they seem to have a sense about those things. That's pretty incredible. But all I have is cats, and they're responding to. Sometimes they're brilliant, and sometimes anybody's guess.
Yeah. I was. The cat this morning was up against my leg. You know, she meows all the time. Like it's crazy. So she's doing that, and I pick her up, and she's like, "Yeah, that's great." And then just snap, just and just claw, and she just jumps backwards, and I'm like, "Oh, I gotta like pour her out of my hands."
That's right. A lot of cats that were in Vietnam though, so they've got like they get the flashbacks. They have
this whole.
They took a lot of acid also, so they're seeing things we're not seeing.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah. This is Zoe. This is a dog. We're dog sitting. She's like this. I don't think the camera picks her up. She's like part pit bull or something, part like some sort of shepherd or whatever.
When you're not in the camera.
No. And she's
great.
she'll just start licking you. That's just what she does sometimes. I don't know what she wants. I don't know where she comes from.
How long are you guys watching her?
Till tomorrow.
Oh, cool.
So yeah. It was good. It was nice. Her owner. What do we say, by the way, now? Not owner, I guess, right? Her sponsor. Doesn't it seem weird to say owner now? Yeah. The dog owner? You think it's still owner?
Oh, because dogs have rights now?
I guess.
And you got to be sensitive to the dogs?
Like
how you talk about?
Like, we wouldn't say that, like, we wouldn't say, like, Ben belongs to Emma, right? Isn't she, like...
I would.
Is it like, okay.
It's a purchased thing.
Yeah, that's right, I guess.
You buy it. I mean, you so the whole thing about adopting a kid,
right, yeah.
You're paying money and you legally own it. I mean, yeah, sure, within the legal system it counts as something different. Like you're now the guardian.
Guardian might be the closest.
Bought that kid. And what sucks is like, what if
it's hard
I'm
to
shopping for kids, and I'm picturing like a Toyota Tundra, and fucking I got a Ford Ranger. What the hell?
That's right. This isn't my kind of car.
I want. And I just said truck. I should have specified.
And then it grows into a larger SUV, but you thought it would eventually become like a sedan. Yeah, that's frustrating. Yeah, it's the power steering goes out right away. You're like, what do I do with this now? I can't talk him into this. Just send him into car camp.
Okay, so as soon as your vibrating watch goes off,
you wake
up, or just before you wake up, Do you pick up your phone and look at it? What are you doing?
Yeah, that's my inclination is
first?
To do it, but I
okay.
So
grab it before you even sit up.
Here's the thing about my life. I'm constantly everything. It's like the Etch-a-Sketch gets shaken every day, and it's like where do I go from here? I have no idea. So if I just followed,
I hope none of your students are watching this. Even Professor Soderlund has no fucking clue? Oh, shit.
Oh, dude, there's somebody tweeted out. It was like a professor at a major university last year. No, it was whichever one before COVID. And they go, hey, listen, I've been in school since I was 6. It's been 50 years. Earlier than that. Anyway, he's like, every year I think this is the year I get my shit together. And it hasn't happened for 50 years. So, yeah, that's about where I am. So it's always like, okay, what do I prioritize? What were you going to say? Sorry.
Was there any backlash about that, or was it everybody saying like, "Thank you for being honest"?
Yeah, no, that's pretty much it. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, things we talked a little bit about how education is much more chill than it used to be, right? And like teachers are nicer, and it's actually a good time to be in school. And so, yeah, it was like that. Like that's just kind of it's not a big deal. It was like me saying I'm a stand-up comedian. Like when we were in school, teachers were more like Michael Scott from The Office. It's like, and he's like, oh, I'm a comedian. I'm like, oh, fuck yourself. But it took me until recently where I was like, oh no. I mean, I'm sure some students still think it was corny. I think it's a little corny that I do comedy and I'm a teacher. But I think there's not a stigma. It's like, oh, neat. Okay, you do that. Okay. It's not like, who are you trying to be? Or I hate you or whatever. It's just, okay.
All that negative stuff was inside of me when I started.
Yeah, right.
So I was like, I'm not telling anybody. Because who the fuck am I trying to be? Exactly. And then I did like comedy for a few months and people were like, oh, you like Dan Cook. And I was like, oh my God. So
was that too good or too bad?
Well, okay, so I like Dane Cook.
Yeah, me too.
I think he's a good comic and I like him. But he got to a point where everybody's like, fuck Dane Cook.
Right.
And I didn't want that attached to me.
Right.
I didn't want people being like, oh, you're just like Dane Cook. And just because I was loud and so animated and I would be everywhere.
Right.
And then I got that quite a few times. And then just because I was energetic.
Yeah.
So I, for like more than a year, I didn't move. I was just like, I did this, and I was, because in my head, Dane Cook.
Right.
Hi, my name's Chad. Shit.
Chad Cook Johnson, Dane.
Yeah, dude.
It's
just the little things that people can say about stand-up that can, like, if you're really into it and you want to get somewhere with it, then everything weighs on you.
Right.
Like, what? Oh shit! What am I doing wrong? Oh,
I don't know if there's a bigger profession where you care exactly about what people think, and you totally don't want to do what people think. Like it's sort of, I need your approval in a way. I don't want it. What I don't want.
Please don't give me advice.
No advice.
Because that'll actually hurt me.
I want you to be happy. No, don't tell me how to make you happy. I got to figure it out on my own. And once I figure out one way, that's not enough. I got to figure out a new way. Don't tell me. It's so weird. Yeah. Teaching is different. Teaching, you could just kind of like, they're just like, just leave me alone. You're like, okay, I'm just going to leave you alone. So yeah, so for me, it's like every day is a little different. And I have things I want to accomplish. But when I start making the to-do list, which I sometimes get because it reduces my feelings of like the total surprise and fear of life.
Yeah, same.
It just goes on forever. And so I start making a list, and it's like, well, I'd really love to do 20 things. I might only get 10 done. It's like, dude, I'm going to do one, if that. Like, there's no way. So what I've gotten to now is I try to do the things. I won't go through my whole day. Obviously, there should be back and forth. So like, I did the first thing I want to do now is do this warm up like 8-minute body thing because I have this back pain and just in general, like if I do that, I'll be more happy during the day and I might be a little less likely to sit down. So like sit down like for hours and then hurt myself, that kind of thing. So that's like the goal.
So that's what's the problem with your back.
Yeah, like I think sitting makes it worse for sure. Okay. It's like a lower back thing. And then there's like the tight hamstring makes it worse. And then it leads to sciatica and it's tough.
Happens a lot with drivers.
Yes. Yeah. Very common. Yeah. Yeah. That's the thing, right? I don't know if lower back is like, or like back pain is an interesting thing, but there's like some studies where they were like, well, what's really wrong with most people's backs? What's actually going on? And so they gave a bunch of like back specialists, like a bunch of backs, some healthy, some unhealthy. The doctors totally disagreed, like x-rays. They totally disagreed on which ones were healthy and which ones weren't. It had nothing to do with the pain people were experiencing. It was like it's totally a personal thing. You know?
I think that's why a lot of people look at chiropractors and like snake oil.
Yeah.
Bullshit.
Yeah.
It's just like it's the Simpsons. Homer just pushing somebody onto a trash can. And you're like, God, I'm a chiropractor now.
Yeah, chiropractors might be like therapists for your back. I mean, they think they're physical therapy, but it's like, okay, well, what's hurting now?
Yeah.
But so that's the thing. So that's what I realized recently.
Get a pull-up bar and just hang from it. That's the only thing you need to do to have a back that doesn't hurt all the time.
That's great. Here's the crazy thing, though. I had this back thing forever, and then I finally went to a physical therapist, and they're like, "Yeah, here's the stretches you do." So I was like, I did that for a few years. This is like a decade ago, and then I went back a few years later, and I'm like, the stretches aren't working anymore, and they're like, "Yeah, you're too loose." I was like, "What?"
Oh,
and then they're like, "Yeah, you got to do the stuff to like strengthen the muscles around the bones, or like holds them in place." So that's what I'm doing now. So the first thing that occurs to me now when I sit up and like wake up is I have a time, like it's like a time bomb. That like every second I'm not doing the warm up, I'm less likely to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And if something else gets in my way, it's just not going to happen. And that's like the central drama of my waking life now. My immediate waking.
I mean, okay, that's not terrible. So, what is your if you are to roll out of bed, do you just go onto the floor right there?
If I can go on the floor, yeah, I realize that's what I have to do. Yeah. And it starts with like a...
That's a good idea, because the floor's right there.
The floor's right there. It's always right there. And even if it's uneven, even if it's like half carpeted, just like uneven run down your back, it's still a worthwhile
Better than nothing.
Yeah, better than nothing.
That's what I noticed about any exercise, any sort of positive thing you can put into your body, or just activity or habit. It's better than nothing.
No, that's exactly right. Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah. I mean, it's Anyway, so that's like the first thing. And I realize, like, if I had my perfect life is I roll out of bed, I do a warm up, I do yoga for like a while, and then I do a meditation for as long as I can. And if I did that, I'd be a normal person, and I would be like without that much pain, and I would be like responsive and available.
All cylinders.
And it would be be all cylinders. But the amount of willpower that would take, I wouldn't be able to do anything else for the rest of the day. It would be like my whole day just to be normal and like be able to maintain that and normal and undistracted. That would. Do you
think if you achieved all the 1 hour of physical activity that it would take to have a normal day? Right. Do you think for the rest of the day you'd be like, okay, I did it. I have to stay normal. All day, and if you start slipping, you're like, "What's happening?" I did it though.
So no, that's the thing, especially with meditation, like, because that's the other thing. Like, if I can meditate each morning, it's great.
It's so hard.
I know, yeah, it's hard, and it's like, it's just, but like,
how does that even work?
Well, and it's there's no relationship between, again, like what you do and the outcome. It's just like over time, if you do it enough, you're like, oh, you're telling me 8 things we have to do today before we go to your mom's house, and I'm not screaming at you. This is different. Like, oh, this is like the meditation. But then, like exercise, it's not a one-to-one. So then at some point you're like, what could I cut on my day? I got a busy day. Why don't I do that meditation? Why am I still doing that? And then you're like, we're going to my mother's. I'm like, oh, fuck yourself. You know, it's like,
I see.
Wait, why did that come from? So,
there's times that I'm sitting on the couch, not moving, and I'm thinking of like the rage in my head is just like beating something, not necessarily somebody, but just like I'm just raging out on something, and I'm like, oh, I think I have all this energy just pent up inside me that needs to get out. So if I go just like do some push-ups or something, for one, that gets my mind off of how pissed off I am at nothing, literally nothing. For two, I have a little bit of exercise that, I do 8 pull-ups and fucking go do something else for a minute, and I'm done. I'm done being mad.
Right. I'm glad you said that.
But I don't always do that. Of course. If I'm mad, sometimes I'll just be mad.
And there's something like delicious about that, right? Like there's, it feels good to be mad at first, right? And then eventually you're like, oh, that was kind of a waste.
So embarrassing too.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You're like, that's not me. It's, it's brutal. All that stuff.
I hate hey, I'm sorry. That shit that wasn't me. That's, what do you mean? You're like a split personality or something? I don't know.
I can borderline.
It's like it's like if, let's say there's opposite poles, maybe 2 of them, And sometimes I'm over here. Sometimes I'm over here.
Like that.
Yeah.
You could switch around. Yeah. Surprise.
There's probably not a term for it, but I'm really complicated, okay?
Oh, my God. Yeah, we were talking about eating before, right? I mean, so that's the other trick, right? Okay, it's like, okay, I'm living my perfect life. I did my warm-up and my yoga and my meditation. Now I've been up for like 3 hours, and like maybe I go Hulk on somebody. So it's like, I don't know. I don't know what the solution is. I mean, here's the thing I'm excited to hear about what you find out in the process of these videos, right? Here's my theory. When I worked in retail, which is like we did for what felt like a very long time, it seemed like people have different levels of self-knowledge.
What kind of retail?
I did. I worked at like Kroger, which is like the Fred Meyer, but of the Midwest. Oh, you know Kroger. Been from Florida, etc. Like I was a cashier at Kroger, and like the what was it? 8 p.m. to 1 a.m. shift, Friday, Saturday, Wednesday, while I was in college. And then eventually I shifted over.
Not a college partier.
No. I was kind of a straight edge too.
You're not a partier.
Yeah,
You've never been a.
No. Yeah,
I think the most partied I've ever seen you is just comedy stuff.
Yeah.
And you'll have like a drink or a couple
whatever.
And be like, bye.
Yeah.
I'm old. Out of here.
I don't know. I like the idea of it, and like.
Oh yeah, me too.
Occasionally, if everything is completely secure, right? Like if I'm not driving and I have people I like and everything's fine, like it's just like, yeah, go sick. But like, that's something my wife doesn't get either. Like, I'll be like, well, we could have like people stay over here because we have a house, and so we're like, oh, then you just kind of like rage, and she's like, why would we do that? Why can't we have like pleasures in moderation? And then I was like, what? And so like, yeah, I mean that's
I understand that.
Yeah, so but anyway, so the thing I'll be excited to see what you find out in the series is, are people able to live their lives in a way that it like they get the like whatever emotional flush and physical routine that they need to not feel totally out of control and unhappy all day? Because I feel like that's what you see.
Yeah, well, that's what I see in myself. There's a lot of this that I just think about, like what I want to do that day and what I end up doing that day is nearly not at all a matching list.
Right.
So it's like, okay, well, I would probably other people have that same thing.
Yeah. No, it's a great question. And do people believe in self-improvement and all that stuff? Like, are people feeling like this is it?
Do they believe in it, or do we care?
Yeah, right.
But I guess, is that half belief?
I know. So for me, it like a lot of my like there's what I'm doing, but maybe even bigger than that is this meta level, which is like, what do I think my life is about, and how am I living that out that day? And then what have I recently read and believe and I'm like being influenced by that I should also obey? So it's like, there's like, what am I doing? What do I think I should be doing? What have I read that I should be doing? And those are always like swirling around together.
Yeah, I just whenever I hear someone smart talk about anything, I'm just trying to like figure out what from what they say I can pull and be like, oh, that's a good idea. I'm gonna do that.
Yeah, I like it when you hear somebody smart say something, and you're like, I'm never gonna be able to do that. You're just like, no, it's not.
Yeah, all you have to do is just wake up in the morning and work out for 4 hours, and then you go to work, and then you come home, and everything's fine.
That's right. Yeah.
It's not that hard.
Okay. I have a friend who's a huge Tim Ferriss fan. With the
is he the hardcore?
Yeah, life hacks and stuff.
Okay,
like it's
he wakes up and yells at the camera.
Oh man!
Get up! You better do something with your life.
I don't even know.
There's a lot of those guys that are like, it's 4:40 in the morning. What are you doing? I just jumped off a building.
Tim Ferriss has some of that. I mean, he wrote like the 4-Hour Work Week and the 4-Hour Body and like all this other stuff. Okay. And like, so my friend bought me his book Tools of Titans, and that's just like interviews with people. But it's like it's all untouchable stuff. It's like, well, when I started taking essence of honey out of a bat, that's when I really started to feel good. And he's like, well, if you're interested in buying essence of honey out of a bat, there's some very reasonable supply. I was like, what? I'm never going to do this. If, I realized my life happened when I bought a sauna. I realized my life happened when I hung from my feet like a bat, and then I could just stretch out a lot of bat stuff, and I could just stretch out my spine. It's like, Jesus, dude. Like, yeah.
Oh, interesting. They just eventually become vampires.
That's right. Yeah. When I started drinking human blood, that's when I really felt myself
transform into a bat, and then I just. Whoosh.
You're like, I'm never going to be able to accomplish that. No way.
I gotta get a cape.
What am I? I'm going to try to Dracula
That's how they get you.
up. That's how they get you for sure. I read this insane thing that I'm trying to pass on to people about Russian like internment camps where they didn't have enough money. It was like sort of the Russian version of concentration camps because shit was so bad there in World War II. It's not present day as far as I know. The women they were like, yeah, things were okay. We would just steal blood from the slaughterhouses we were forced to work in, and then we'd make that into omelets and eat it because you can make blood out of things you can make eggs from. Isn't that crazy?
You can make food
out of blood.
Out of blood. So you can make blood into whatever you were going to make eggs out of.
Supposedly.
Substitute blood in?
Eggs is a substitute for blood. Definitely omelets. And also like blood sausage.
I don't know how many times I have to talk negatively about Russian people. And just I'm not going to do it right now, but
right, yeah. Yeah, you don't want to
loonies.
You don't want to alienate your Russian listeners. Hey everybody, welcome. I wish I knew more than Das Vidanya in Russian. I wish I even knew hello.
Suka sasimi hui. That's the only one I know.
Is that going to activate some winter soldier in the audience somewhere?
Yeah, it's like, bitch, suck my dick. What? That's the only thing I learned from high school.
Listen to this man. I love him. American video podcast. What?
Talking about the blowjob.
Blood. He knows what he's talking about.
Yeah. Okay, so after your let's say you roll out of bed.
Roll out of bed.
Get your back worked out and you're like, hell yeah, that was great.
Right.
What do you do right after that? Do you go to food? Do you go to coffee? Do you go to just go stare in the mirror and do your American Psycho routine, which I assume is part of your morning? I
was wondering if I would talk to you about that. Yeah, my dad was on an airplane in the 90s. And he met some model from Echo, ECKO. You remember the rhinoceros?
Oh, the brand.
The brand.
It's like, I've never heard of Echo. Where is that?
It's a paramilitary organization.
Okay.
And he was like, and the guy was like 50 and he looked 20, you know? And my dad's like, what's the secret? And he goes, I do these face exercises every day. And I think I've told you about this. It's the one where
I was thinking about that on the way here.
Yeah.
It's like Lars is this weirdo that he goes, hey, I don't know if you are concerned about this kind of thing, but I mean, I think it would be helpful. I think it is a helpful thing if you just and then he tells me to just just stretch out your face as much as you can and then scrunch it as much as you can and then just do that for about 30 seconds daily. And that's one of those things that Lars was talking about earlier. And he's like, yeah, I'm not going to do that. Because he tells me that, and I probably was like,
of course,
that sounds like a really smart idea. And as soon as I walk away, like, what? I've totally done it hundreds of times since you told me that. But my immediate reaction was, what a fucking loony. But I mean, it makes total sense. It stretches out your, it makes more elasticity in your face, I assume.
Supposedly, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I haven't, I've heard it since advised. So I don't know.
So your dad runs into this person on a plane. They say, do these face stretches, which are...
Right. Yeah, like... A.
Oh yeah, you do your vowels. I forgot about that part.
Yeah, and then you do that for I think that the times vary. I should actually look it up.
I switched it to if you've seen Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back.
Yeah. Lemon face,
lion face, lemon face. Yeah, that's what I've been doing pretty much.
Great. I think it's the same thing. Yeah. Right? It's big and small. So yeah. I mean, but how do you integrate that? I mean, unless you're going to the bathroom at the same time, and if you get caught, or you're doing it on a video, yeah, it's embarrassing. I think that there's a whole scene in Woody Allen's movie Stardust Memories where a woman who's a model talks about, she's like, I'm sorry, I have to do my face exercises. So he's trying to talk to her, and she's like making this insane thing. It's pretty good. But yeah, Woody Allen, he'll never be not okay. And so yeah, that's. But I don't know, every day's kind of, it's sort of random that way. Also, because a lot of the times I'm waking up late enough that there's already a list of things I was asked to do by my wife that I'm already behind on.
No.
So it's like, okay, what's first, you know? But I don't know, because I have like a range of like the organized day and the totally chaotic day. And the organized day, I'm up at a decent time, and I'm doing some version of the warm-up that I mentioned. Mm-hmm. And then before anything else, I have to do the stuff that takes the most amount of willpower. And usually that's my like research for university stuff. So I'm looking up books and all that bullshit.
People say they like get to their emails in the morning.
I don't know.
How do you do that?
I
would sit down and I just shit my pants.
Yeah,
because any sort of like work activity or concentration on stuff gets me like anxious and going, and I'm like,
totally.
Okay, so we're going, we're doing this.
No,
oh shit, here we go, work.
Yes, and the amount of willpower that takes, and the amount of like then like, I mean, the other thing I've realized that's I don't know if it's a brag or like I'm just whatever, but like I'm pretty empathetic. And so I would like to be like whatever my work is, I would like to be dealing with people. Mm-hmm. But the more I'm dealing with a person, the more energy intensive that is. And if there's other shit that doesn't involve being with a person, it's kind of shot. So when I teach, I'm dealing with like 20 people. It takes a lot of energy. I can't really do something else after that without kind of cooling down, you know? And so then I just got to like figure out that energy for the day.
It's like the disc defrag.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, comedy is the same thing, right?
Yeah,
you're kind of.
I have that kind of in the opposite way of. I work in an area that is just like the worst people and place, and I get home and the things I've seen all day long, I'm like, okay,
your life's flashing before your eyes.
Yeah, like. Just try to erase that 2-year-old that almost got hit by a car that was in a diaper, and then you just saw someone snatch it and jump into a van, and then someone was running after the van going, and you're like, what was that? Okay.
Pretend like it didn't happen.
Yeah.
Or just try to like, okay, well then what is my life happening right now? Yeah, that's how it is for sure. And so anyway, so if I start with email, which I will sometimes, because Western is like, I'm the chair of the English department, so I gotta like get all this stuff done. That's the whole day, because and this is like a kind of a famous thing now. I think it deals with like everybody has this, where your boss or just something in your life will give you a 2-line email, and it's okay. This is a week, right? This is like 8 hours of work.
Can you give me an example?
Somebody says like, well, okay, so for me, it might be like, hey, what if we created a lecture series about talking about this? And I'd be like, oh, and I'm like, yeah, okay, let's do that. And like, I have some energy because it's a new idea, and I like new things for a little while before then I get like, before I lose energy. So it's like, okay.
But
well,
then
who would it be?
You have to create the whole thing.
The whole thing. Yeah.
Okay.
Where would it be, and what would it be, and how would that work, and what's the thing? Or a student being like, hey, what class are you teaching next year? And I'd be like, okay, so I gotta like look up
English
when it is. Just like English. Yeah. Did we already do that? Well, who would even know? Well, I think I would search it by the person who does the scheduling. But I can't just say her name. I got a million emails from her. So that means I gotta look up her plus schedule plus 2021, 2022. Okay, found it. Okay, where am I on the list? Okay, I'm not there yet. Okay, now I got to email her. It's just that kind of like, it's like stuff that's kind of normal to know. And then
there's a lot of people needing a lot of information, and none of it is necessarily like annoying, because it's like that's just how it is.
That's how it is.
That person needs that information.
Right.
Wow.
Right. But the amount of work that it takes to kind of like maintain that and do it ends up then being like, it just takes a lot. So that's why I have to do anything that like is high willpower kind of first. And it's also the reason why I'm actually not that great as a grader, because grading takes like a lot, like even though now we've realized you don't have to like mark up something with a red pen, you only have to give a few comments. I still have to give 75 plus people feedback at least
you have
like
to
once
feel
a
it out.
month and feel it out. And also, again, I don't know if people who are less, I don't know if it's a brag to call myself empathetic. I never know if that's like too much. Anyway, but so
I don't think so.
Okay, good. So like if you're empathetic and you're reading somebody's work, right? And they're like, okay, you asked me to write this. Now I've written it. So you have to read what they're saying, and you're like reading, which already is like a specific mental thing. But then you're trying to improve it. So you're like, okay, what did I want them to do? Well, there's me. What do I want to do? What have they written? What did they want to write? Like, what do they think they're writing?
Well, because you also know the person. And so
I know the person.
Their personality, and like what you know that they know, what you know that they want out of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
For each one.
Right, exactly. And bad teachers
I can barely read my daughter's stuff for school. Just hers. And she's in 4th grade now.
And she's really smart, from what I can hear.
Yeah. It's just, nope.
It's tough. I don't know. I mean,
that's cool.
Yeah, so
I'm glad that it works for you. Like,
well, I don't even. I mean, teaching is so weird. It's like teaching, and I don't want to get too controversial. Like, there are certain fields. I'll say, like the police. Like, there are certain fields, like teachers and police, where we used to think they were like, God, you know what you're doing, and you're in charge. You know what you're doing. So if somebody says something bad about a teacher or a police officer, I don't believe it because you have a hard job. Everything's fine. Mm-hmm. And now we're starting to like see through. It's like we're all just people, you know. Like people make a lot of mistakes a lot.
I wish that it wasn't so like as soon as you see someone fuck up, I mean a lot of people fuck up or whatever. They're like all cops. Okay. Well, that's all I really got to say.
I know. It's teaching. I know. Well, in teaching too, right? Like a lot of people from our generation hate teachers, not unlike they hate like
what
cops.
All teachers fuck their students, huh? Right. What do you do? Like, no, that happened once in Texas, and it was big news, so everybody knows about it.
That's right. Meanwhile, I'm like staying like 10 feet away from all students. Like, hey, no, you're doing a great job.
That is the nice thing about your class is like you're way over here and they're all way over there.
Yeah.
It's like cool. I'm gonna spin in my chair.
Well, and yeah. That's right. I do sometimes. I try to like get out like closer to them so they don't see me like being on TV. Yeah. I can't like throw erasers at them or whatever. But so it's so anyway. So grading takes so much like mental energy. Mm-hmm. I'm kind of trying to avoid it anyway. But it's maybe the most important part of my job. But what is more important, like emails from people in charge saying to do things or work with students, whatever. Because here's the other crazy thing about...
Yeah, because that's a hard thing to figure out.
Here's the craziest thing about academia. Professors have to do three things. We have to do teaching, which is what you expect. Research, which is like our own, like what do you want to work... Like you have to like come up with an idea, find an audience for it, submit it to them, research, whatever, blah, blah. It's kind of what you might think of. It's what authors do. To some extent, it's what comedians do, except it's more formal in terms of making material and then producing it and hopefully people like it.
But some comedians write. I forgot.
Yeah. I was thinking about that thing you said the other day. What was that? It might have even been secondhand. It might have been Julian said that you said it anyway, but it was like you were watching somebody and they said something wild on stage and you turned to him and you were like, I always forget you could just make stuff up. Like, that's not the comedy we do, really. You know, so it's like, oh, yeah, you could just not tell the truth.
I was talking to Zach about that just last night because I was talking to him about this and how it'd be fun to have him on because he's like, well, sometimes I have days where I don't do anything. I was like, that'd be great to talk to you about, like, what you slept in until 4.
Right.
And then you woke up and played a video game and went back to bed. Awesome.
Great.
Or just, whatever makes shit up. Because nobody really knows what Zach is like.
Right.
Based on his comedy.
Yeah. Right.
Like,
that's true.
you can probably take a guess on me and on you.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So I don't know. So for me, there's 3 things professors have to do. We have to teach, we have to do research, and we have to do service. And service is your boss or colleague asks you for something.
Okay.
And then whatever. Service, and periodically, you get like people ask you how you're people like judge how you're doing, either for like tenure, which is like to get a little bit more money and security, or just every year they're like, are you doing what you should be doing? Because we don't really trust teachers to be doing what they're doing anymore, which is for better or worse. To some extent it's good, but I don't know. So anyway, I have to decide what I'm going to do between those 3 things, right? And the thing people care about, like the thing people are watching me to do is research. Because if I'm not contributing to my field, then Western looks a little bit less prestigious, which is a little funny, but there is something there. If I lose my job at Western or something happens to Western, I can't go somewhere else without saying I've done research. It's like the most important thing. But nobody in my daily life cares unless I'm talking to friends who are also in the field, which is very small. So it matters the most, but people kind of care about it the least. Teaching matters less than that, although it matters a lot at Western because it's a teaching school. But I could kind of blow it off to do more research if I wanted, which would give me more personal, personal like gain. Except then I'd be out with like 20 plus students looking at me, disappointed because I haven't graded their thing in however long, and I got to deal with those humans. I won't get into trouble, probably, right? I could. It's my word against theirs, but it's a human
They're
thing. Lying.
Every
one of them. Well, most of them are nice, and a lot of them still have that old school, like, don't narc on a teacher. So it's like, okay, so that is like less rewarding, but more rewarding interpersonally. And then service, the stuff about like being on committees and stuff, nobody cares about, but it's your colleagues and your bosses. So you can't just not do it. And if they get mad at you and then shit goes down and like there's like, oh, you're going to be employed anymore, then you're really sunk. So what do you do? Like,
so yeah, who do you? It's like you're juggling who you're proving it to.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
Me, them.
Yeah. Well, the research is the only thing that matters. Except there was a study that was done like a decade ago, and they're like, yeah, most academic articles are not read by a single person. They're just never read, and the average one takes, I don't know, 100 hours, like a lot. It's so crazy. But and then a lot of, that's why a lot of people like, anyway, real quick. That's why a lot of people are like, oh, academia, who cares? But like, then, you don't want to get science wrong, or, and even for me, like in writing, like there's research that showed you don't just mark up a student's work with red pen. It actually hurts everybody. You just give them like 3 things to work on. That's enough. But you have to be careful,
What's the thing behind the red pen thought?
Why would that be important, or why is it not important?
Why is it more of a negative thing to do red pen?
Oh, yeah. So depends on the person.
Is it just like it makes the way that it makes them feel?
Yeah, basically.
Like the appearance of it, the first look of it, it's like, oh, I fucked up.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
I don't know. I think that it must have been I remember when I was in college, I was like, there was this cute girl at a bank, and I was like, oh yeah, I'm an English major, and she goes, you read? And I was like, what? like yeah, I can't. What are we talking about?
What you reading for?
Yeah,
old Bill Hicks bit.
For sure. It was exactly that. And I was like, but then I realized, like, oh, a lot of people are not inclined to reading or writing, and so they're really on the bubble. If they're encouraged and said, oh, you're a pretty good writer, because most people are fine, even if they're like not great, you could become good or solid. You got to be real gentle, because things will throw them off. Yeah. And of course, most of them had bad teachers who were like, whatever. I wish I could strangle these bad teachers. But so you kind of got to be as gentle as you can, because you don't know who's going to get thrown off. But then some people like more harsh feedback. You really don't know. But that's the idea, to not hurt people's feelings and to show them what they're doing well, so that they're not feeling like every time they write, it's just a random new thing.
Yeah.
It's weird.
Yeah. That's got to be hard balancing that and like finding the middle ground of like, because you really want to say like, this is wrong.
Yeah. Sometimes things are wrong. Well, but so here's the interesting thing about that.
But also, you don't want to be like, this is right. Keep doing exactly. You've got it.
Exactly.
You guys see this person? Look,
yeah, right.
Watch Jennifer.
That's right. Yeah, you really got to watch out, because sometimes you read a few essays that are just tough, and then somebody nails it, or more honestly, they just did what you asked them to do, and you're like, yeah, just keep going, and they're like, well, I'm not helping that person either, and then you realize, and this is what I was getting to before.
No notes.
I'm just like, y'all are kind of on a conveyor belt, and you passed the inspection, so yeah, but that doesn't really help. So you gotta like
how it feels, huh?
No, yeah, it's tough. I mean, that's the thing when you give teachers too much work. Like that's the problem in high school, because that's all they can do. Like they can just, it's hard for them to differentiate between students. And a lot of the time, like the truth is, like writing style changes. It's exactly the same with comedy. Like if you were going to give somebody comedy feedback, first of all, it's hard, because you're like, I don't know, just keep doing it. Like you'll probably get better, right? And people will let you know if it sucks, And so like
sometimes
there's some audiences are nice, and some people don't care.
And some comedy communities will just be like, hey, good job. Keep coming back.
We're all on Molly. Who cares about this? Yeah, it doesn't matter. Yeah, nobody can hear you in here anyway. We're just going to laugh or whatever this happens. It becomes increasingly clear who we're referring to.
I'm excited for
whatever.
Saturday.
I'm just going to go jog in town. And so yeah, like I feel like so you don't, the only thing I think that becomes hard about grading is when you think you know exactly what students should have, and you punish them for not having that. I think that's a problem. Like old teachers are kind of this way. They're like, no, I get every student to do this. You're not doing it. You're the square peg trying to get in the round hole. I'm just going to hammer you down. That's like the danger,
Yeah, I think I was a victim of that.
Yeah.
Because I was just kind of trying to write outside of whatever, and maybe come back, maybe.
Yeah.
But it's just like, I don't like following exactly what was the instruction.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like that bores me. So if I can entertain myself while doing the thing, why is that?
Here's what. Well, I don't know. I don't want to get too far from the day, but here's the thing I'd love to know that I've been thinking about lately, and that is, everybody's doing their own thing. So unless they're doing something actively bad like murder, although maybe even in that case, I don't know, get them to be in the proper channels of murder-friendly field. Yeah. Could you just encourage them to get better at that thing? You know what I mean? Just be like, I don't get it and I don't like it. But if you keep this way, keep doing this affirmatively, maybe that's better than somebody being like, stop it. You know what I mean? Like, stop. Like, but I don't know. As a parent, you might know that. Because, like, how would you balance that? In comedy, people can do a lot of different things.
If it's annoying me, stop it. Anything else, I don't give a fuck.
I mean, some teachers, that's how it is. You know, it's like, no, it's not a grammatical rule, but it's my rule, so don't do it. You know, it's like, Jesus, okay. I don't know. I do think sometimes I'm preparing students for the real world. Or when I hear some of my colleagues doing things that are like a little harsh, I'm like, well, there are people like this in the world. So that's kind of, you know,
also
like,
this is college.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
If you didn't want people to be like, hey, this is reality. This is the school you're paying money for.
Right.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, so you get onto your computer, you handle all the like ultra willpower stuff. That's intense.
Optimally.
That's hardcore.
Yeah. If I'm not already behind on some other thing, or if I've woken up and there's like, usually I'm not a bad teacher, but sometimes there will be a moment where it's like I'm doing just enough to prepare myself for class, especially now with Zoom. You know, it's like, you know, class starts at 10, I'm up at 9, and I'm like preparing and getting myself ready, and then I'm on at 10. You know, like that's like I'm alive. And then I've done what I needed to do, right? I'm not like shirking, you know, my responsibilities, but it's getting close, you know? And so, yeah, that'll happen sometimes. Nothing. I didn't do the warm-up. I didn't do the yoga, the meditation. I'm just like,
yeah, so you wake up at 9 so you can start teaching at 10.
Exactly, yeah. That kind of thing.
So there's not, okay.
Maybe 9:30.
But
on Zoom.
But you would, like the night before, you're like, it'd be nice if I were to wake up at 7.
Yeah.
And do all my things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's how I have this problem with eating cereal. And I'll eat it right before bed.
Oh, that's tough. Yeah.
A really big bowl of cereal and about a cup of peanut butter in it.
Nice.
That
sounds great.
It's really good. But
is there any milk or is it just those two?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, there's milk. It's milk.
Sometimes
there's honey. Sometimes there's syrup. I have a problem.
Some chocolate chips in there.
But I put some, I sprinkle some cranberries in there.
Ooh,
so then I'm
healthy.
like,
it's fiber too. Yeah, that's great.
Good.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a heaping bowl of.
Nothing better than cereal.
It's so good.
I've realized lately I've had this whole thing, like some stuff is like the idea of a life hack is stuff that makes your life easier, but I think sometimes things do hack us as humans. Like we've discovered things that are either irresistible or that they work so well it's unbelievable. And cereal's like one of them. It's just too delicious.
Well, cereal, you know, it's like I started eating so much cereal after I stopped drinking, and so there's been times where I'm like sad.
Because you have no energy at all, because it's just like you eat it and expend it immediately.
And I will like, I'll just be like upset about something, and I will feel myself with the same pit of despair in my stomach and chest go to the kitchen and make a bowl of cereal with the same tone that someone would pour like whiskey into a glass and be like, all right, tonight's the night that I'm just gonna turn it all around. And I'm sadly eating my cereal. Like I know the whole time that I'm gonna be upset after, but while I'm eating it, literally eyes closed. I do not open my eyes while I eat it. I'm just eating it, and Zach will come through and he'll like look at me for a second and be like, whoa. And when Zach Chappell walks by you and goes, whoa, you're fucking up a little bit.
That's amazing.
Or you're just surprising enough.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah, this stuff drives you to the end of your rope. Yeah, that's a great idea. She's never coming back,
dude.
What's gonna happen to me now?
Almost to the point
Mom
of
was right.
Crying because I know that I'm hurting myself. Only in a way that like I don't look like my appearance in the mirror. I feel fine in the morning. I feel great. I take a big dump. It's great.
That's great.
But
because do you eat just like Fiber One?
Like it's Honey Bunches of Oats.
Oh, that's not bad for you.
Yeah, I that's like the worst cereal I'll eat.
Good for you.
Just because I know what I will do. I'll just eat the most cereal.
I've eaten the cereal I've eaten the most one box in one sitting, which is to say I've eaten
strawberries
multiple times. That's great. Wait, with strawberry which?
Strawberry Honey Bunches of Oats with strawberries in it.
Oh, that sounds great. Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, for me it's the frosted Cheerios. You could just
those are so good.
Eat it until you're dead. There's just no.
They make frosted Honey Bunches of Oats.
Wow, those
really good.
I could see why you're trying to hold yourself back from that.
Yeah. So I just layers of. I just make a lasagna of cereal. It's so good. Okay, so when do you eat?
There's no pattern. Like,
okay,
my best at my best, and I'm gonna try to get back on this. Although anyway, it's I'll make a smoothie with frozen bananas, spinach, soy milk, and then whatever like protein and stuff add in. And then I feel like okay, I had spinach, so I'm not a total piece of shit. Okay. And then I had some bananas. Like it's not that bad, and it tastes pretty good. And that'll like take me to lunch optimally. But I'm not like when I'm off that, which is like now, my inclination is to make eggs, but I never have time. Mm-hmm. So then I'm just whatever's around. So it's tough. And if you have like raw spinach too much of it too often, it doesn't really agree with your stomach. So I just don't know. We were talking before the show about like just eating whatever's around. Mm-hmm. And that's great if what is around is kind of okay for you. But if you don't plan ahead and you're relying on whatever's around, it's tough.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
I have frozen sausage that I get. It's like $6 for a bunch of little circles of it.
Yeah, that's great.
And so I get that. I have this egg cooker, the microwave egg cooker. It just shuts it. You put 2 eggs in it, and then you put it in for 30 seconds, and you shake it around a little bit. You put another 30 seconds. Brilliant. Perfectly cooked egg. The sausage takes a minute in the microwave, and then you just put cheese on a tortilla, and then put all that shit right on top of the cheese. Put a little bit of cheese on top of that. Wrap it up, and then you have a breakfast burrito. That's what I did this morning.
That's great.
Made it and ate it in 6 minutes.
Wow. Yeah, I might have to do that. It sounds great.
It's pretty good. Those little egg cookers in the microwave are just shut it. They work really well.
That sounds dope. I think it was interesting. My mom came to visit recently, and I realized
like, that's so gross to cook it in the microwave. I'm like, it's just an egg. It's the same thing, except it doesn't have butter on it.
Right?
No,
that's great.
But the microwave takes all the nutrients out of it. What?
No, it's sealed in plastic.
It Chernobylifies it. You have radiation all on your body. Okay.
You're just starting to like waste away on camera. I don't think that's true. You're like losing fingers. Yeah, I don't know. The microwave. Who knows? That's a great plan. It's nice to be able to have stuff like that.
Yeah, so, it's good. Well, and also for a little while I was getting the breakfast burritos that you could just get a thing of 12 of them. Uh-huh. I don't like those.
Yeah. Well, if it's too ready-made, like the less processed, the better, right? Mm-hmm. Supposedly. So, yeah, I don't know. So, yeah, it's hard to. Yeah, there isn't often a pattern. I'm lucky if I get into kind of a routine, which the smoothie's been the closest.
Okay.
But also, again, like not having a schedule and being kind of aimless. I've had whole periods where I'm like, well, I got to start the day. I got to make some eggs. And pretty soon I'm making this giant breakfast. And it's just like a weekday. So everything's fucked. It's just like, oh, well, I don't know. Time to teach. Now I don't have a choice anymore. Like I don't know. I kind of need somebody to police me in a way. But then that's the last thing I want, So, yeah, it's tough. I'm not the most efficient person.
Yeah, that's something that I want, but I don't want.
No, in theory,
it's just someone to be like, hey, you should do this. And then I go, oh, okay.
Right. Yeah.
And then just every step of everything I do, like, hey, just do that. And I go, oh, cool. I don't have to figure it out. That'd be great.
I want that, or I want my survival, but I just don't want that inevitable moment that I feel is coming where someone says, you've been living your life the wrong way. All those days that were aimless and you didn't get enough stuff done, now you're not going to be on the ark to carry us through the apocalypse. So you did the wrong, But I don't know, then it'd be like a moment of regret, and then the water would wash me away or whatever. So maybe it's fine.
The end of Deep Impact.
Yeah.
Just hold hands and watch it happen. Oh, shit. That's a big one.
Yeah, you're watching in the 90s like, God, I wish somebody would hold my hand. Like, that's your takeaway. Oh, I wish I had somebody to enjoy the apocalypse with.
Oh, Tay Leone.
Tay Leone. Jesus. Are you a Tay Leone person? I never got the appeal.
No, there was something about her that was like, it seemed like she wasn't there.
Yeah.
Like she was like close. It's really hard to explain when there's like comedy people or
right.
Like, do you know who Godfrey is?
Yeah.
Oh,
yes.
I think he's a very funny comedian, and he's not very successful. I mean, he's very successful,
yeah,
but he's not
we
like
know who he is.
He's not like
he's not at the echelon. Yeah.
So, I saw him on an interview, and then I was like, oh, that makes sense, because of the type of person he is. He's very like, I gotta get it, 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 and he doesn't ever stop that kind of thing. So there's part of me that's like, oh, okay, I bet he's fucked up a lot of interviews, auditions, or whatever, because he has this like, I gotta get it.
That's interesting.
Kind of thing, and he is very funny as a comedian.
Yeah.
So I think that isn't.
No, yeah, people have a lot of they've got a lot of activity. I mean, I guess the bigger thing with Téa Leoni is she has an unrelatable energy. I think that's right.
That's
she. I don't know what she wants or something, and I don't want to see her if I don't have to. I mean, I feel that way about Amanda Peet. Is that her name?
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, that didn't do it for me in the whole 9 yards thing.
No.
Like, yeah, but look at her. She's got her boobs out. Yeah, but
thanks, but no thanks.
Something about that smile that just.
Yeah. Right. Or Saving Silverman. Anyway, yeah. The I don't know. Téa Leoni, Deep Impact. So I don't know. So
I mean, is kind of like a soul thing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't. There's no such thing as a soul, but
something's missing,
or whatever. Yeah.
I mean, what are the male equivalents of that? I'm trying to think. I would say David Duchovny, but I don't think that's right. I feel like he has a rich inner life, maybe too rich.
Yeah. I've never seen Californication, but I saw Zoolander. He was great in that.
Yeah, he's great. Josh Duhamel, maybe. Kind of, you don't know
which one is he?
Behind the scenes then. He was in Vegas and stuff.
He's not. Okay, I like him. I don't like him. I like Timothy Olyphant.
Oh, yeah, no, Timothy Olyphant, he's got a lot going on.
Yeah. It's just I think it's just in the eyes. There's like a soul thing there.
Yeah. I think that's right.
Which is I don't believe in souls and stuff like that, but there's something.
So window to something.
Mm-hmm.
Or just an attractive window.
Wonder if I have that. Wonder if I have that thing where people are like,
No.
I don't know if I want to know.
No, you don't. We could name people who do, but I don't think that's I don't think this is the venue.
We mentioned Zach Chappell earlier. Okay.
They're not even people you don't like. It's just people, you're just kind of like, oh yeah, I just don't. It's just a different wavelength. Or you're not pretending to be a human well enough.
Yeah.
The performance isn't there.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I just perfectly zeroed in on one. I was like, okay, yes. Okay, so after that, your smoothie.
Yeah, some sort of meal.
So
maybe
while you're
sometimes I forget to eat, but
okay. So while you're eating, do you like to do a thing while you're eating? Do you turn on a TV?
I would like the ideal of meditation. Optimally, I wouldn't, but I do. Yeah, and the worst pattern I ever got into was I would, like in grad school, I would do a little bit of work in the morning, whatever that was, or just get up late, and I would eat something, and I'd be like, you know what? While I'm eating, I could just watch part of an episode of The Wire.
Yep.
It's just like, that's an hour, right? If not two,
And then you maybe go get a snack for the next episode.
Right, exactly. Yeah. I'm still a little hungry. I could do something. Meanwhile, you've been like just sitting there with the bowl half empty in front of you for like the last 30 minutes.
Dude, I fell asleep eating eating cereal a couple nights ago. That was the last time.
Dream.
That was the last one, and I was like, "Oh my god!" And I woke up because Leah was like, "Woof." He's like, "My dog woke me up because I was just like this on the couch with this bowl of cereal in my." So yeah,
I often do. What's the least damaging? I don't know. I mean, like it's YouTube a lot of the time. It's only 3 minutes, except it's 4 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I hate not using my brain. Because like with podcasts and there's always something to go to in between. Like I have turned on a podcast because I'm walking up the stairs to go upstairs. I'm like, stairs are boring.
Right.
And I can turn on a podcast so fast.
Right. No. It's
right
instantaneous.
there.
That's maybe the worst. That's been a real tough thing for me. I used to listen to the Adam Carolla podcast before he was quite so toxic. And it was when he had a radio show in LA. Did you ever listen to Carolla?
Mm-hmm.
It's funny. Like he has something, and or he did. I don't know now without the structure and the requirement. Yeah,
5 years at least.
What a mistake. But but yeah, like he just talked so much. There were just hours and hours. I think that's how it is with Howard Stern. He's just on. If you don't like the current stuff, you can go to the back catalog. You just listen to it all day. So there were whole weeks, whole months in grad school where I would just do it. And I think it was loneliness. And I think that's a tough thing. Because I think your day has a rhythm where you're not around people. Like if we didn't have the internet and podcasts and stuff, I'd be like, okay, I'm alone. I'm doing something I don't really love to do, but I have to do whatever, taxes or some shit. Okay, I hope I can see people today. That would be like less boring. And I could like talk to somebody and have a good exchange. But like listen to podcasts. It's like I'm listening to the smartest people who've maybe ever lived, right?
Yeah.
Like realistically. The
funniest,
quickest people. I need all my energy.
And they're even sometimes edited to be a little bit better.
That's right.
I absolutely. This is video now, so I can't do anything. But with podcasts, I used to be like, I'm going to make myself a little bit funnier just by the timing. Just I'll take out a third of a second, which makes it funnier.
That's great. Yeah.
It worked.
No, it's so good. I'm going to cut out. Yeah. I'm going to make it seem like the punchline I got to half an hour later happened immediately after I initially said it. Yeah.
I'll just take this, put it right there, and erase all the part where they're like, oh, you should have said that earlier.
I'm going to do it in voiceover right now, actually.
Yeah. Do ADR for podcasts.
So like so that's something I have realized. I'm not always great at doing it, but if I'm gonna get my life done and be happy to see other people like you or my wife, like I have to have some silence during the day to build up that desire to see other people. But I don't always do it. Like I'm listening to the Action Boys now, which I think is incredible, the John Gabris thing, and it's just there's a million hours of back catalog and it's all great. And they're talking about action movies from the 80s and 90s. That's the best comfort food.
You pay for that podcast, don't you?
Yeah, $5 a month.
Whoa.
But it's incredible.
It's
incredible, yeah.
All right.
Because Gabris is maybe the best improviser alive.
He's so funny.
And Ben Rogers, who I'd never heard of, is just as good and mean. Like he's like the 90s bully.
Shit.
So mean. And then Ryan Stanger is a personal trainer who's on like dumbbells with Eugene Cordero, and Eugene
Cordero's very funny too.
Eugene Cordero's great. So Stanger is always getting beaten up on because he's not quite as funny or as quick as John Gabris and Ben Rogers, and they're so mean to him, and it's so funny. And they're talking about action movies. They all have like the sort of borderline abusive dads a lot of us had in the 90s, you know, and so they're encyclopedic. It's incredible. It's incredible. They'll talk for about a 2-hour movie for 3 hours. I can't recommend it highly enough. I'm sorry to push you, know, but there's a sampler thing anyway, you know. But anyway, so I'll just listen to that because there's no reason not to. Except then when I get to my actual work, I'm like, wow, my energy level's really low. It's like, yeah, no shit. You've been trying to follow this like rapid fire, you know, thing. It makes sense. So it's been tough. But
yeah, it's really nice to pass the time. There's times that I drive for work, so I'll be listening to a podcast and I'll get through 2 podcasts and I'm like, that's 5 hours of my day. Wow, crazy. It just went by so fast. And then I'm like, oh, I don't have anything to listen to. I'll turn on some music or something. And then my brain starts going by myself instead of like, oh, I'm just you're holding my hand. I'm going through this whole thing. And then my brain starts going, and I'm like, oh, shit. I'm actually a creative person. I forget this part. And then, like, as soon as I start thinking and, like, I turn it off podcasts, and I'll be like, oh, that's a funny joke. And I'll write something down. Oh, that's also, oh, shit. Why didn't I think that could go onto that other joke? Fuck. And then I'll just put some stuff down. And so that started happening to me, like, 10 years ago. That's probably about right. And so then I really am aware of like how much I'm distracting my brain with other things that I'm not in charge of.
Totally.
That I'm not coming up with.
Yeah.
Because
outsourcing. Yeah.
There's times, and I don't want to coach anybody. I don't want to tell anybody they're doing anything wrong.
Right.
But I watch people go from show to podcast.
Right.
To show while they're doing this thing to podcast to show. I'm in the shower podcast.
Right.
I put my podcast up here.
Of course.
That's me.
Smart.
So it's just, and you're never using your brain.
Right.
And so, dude, I thought there was this whole conspiracy like 10 years ago. So I was like, okay. I can't believe they figured it out.
Right.
So all these podcasters are just putting out all this content so that nobody will think.
Right.
And then they'll seem like they're so smart and they will get so far ahead because that's all they do. They just put out content and they don't go like, how's my content? They just put it out. They just put it out and everybody goes, yeah, cool. I'll just listen to you all day.
Right.
And you have enough to listen all day and not use your own brain.
Yeah. No, there really some.
I don't think it's as devious as
no. It's just humans trying to solve a problem, kind of. No, there was I remember in Germany there was some sort of a law that people couldn't play Snood in the 90s. This is an urban legend. I haven't checked up on this, but it was
game,
basically
right?
like so it was like it's like a bubble blast kind of game, like Brick Breaker in a way. And yeah, like supposedly the German government did this specific study that was like, well, how often are people playing this? And people were playing it so often, it was like it had a net decrease in the national productivity. So they tried to develop ways of like regulating people's stuff. Wow. And you do think, well, if the government's aware of it, then are they happy that people are just kind of droning on? But I don't know. I mean, who knows? I guess now we wouldn't say that the government's trying to control it, but
so like doing this and then they just like slide something else in front of them, like. Oh, okay. That's fine.
Well,
but they're designing, Germany. They're designing cars. I don't know.
The Autobahn. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, something that isn't mean.
Yeah,
they're designing cars.
It's not kitchen related. Yeah. No, they. I mean, yeah. I mean, so the dark side of that, I guess, is like my grandfather, who was like a great dude, and in some ways remained a great dude, but at some point he got turned onto AM radio, right? And it was just like Rush Limbaugh, and then Hannity, and it was just like at a certain point, it's just whatever you listen to 12 hours a day.
That's the same thing.
Does have an impact.
That's why Rogan works.
Yeah,
and I mean also. I'm not going to come out and say, like, fuck Joe Rogan.
Right.
Because, I mean, I like Joe Rogan as a comic. I watch news radio. I was a fan since that, and then now it's crazy. I haven't, since the Spotify thing, I haven't heard or seen anything.
Yeah, me neither.
Because I don't Spotify. But that's pretty much the only reason. If I had Spotify, I probably would. So I'm not anti. But it's interesting that people are so, it's a religion. It's a third or however many political thing there are now.
Oh yeah.
It's the not red, blue, green. It's Rogan.
Roganites. Yeah, that seems right. Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
hey, intermittent fasting worked for me. It did.
Yeah.
If I don't eat my cereal, then I look in the mirror every morning and I go, damn, that works, because it does. It really does. But what you are doing is just starving yourself. So.
So yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think like it'll be interesting to see what you find. Like how many people are. I mean, hypnotism is a helpful comparison, right?
Yeah.
Like, am I actually doing it, or am I kind of hypnotized?
Yeah, that really is. If you listen that much, then it really does just change your thought patterns and
you expect the features of the podcast, and you want to hear that person. You get lonely without them. I mean, it's like a tough thing. The thing that the reason why I'm not going to go on this because I think a lot of people are bored by meditation, which I get, but the reason why meditation is basically as important as the back pain thing for the morning is because sitting in silence does have a way of decreasing or maybe increasing like the volume of the rest of the stuff. So whereas like walking up the stairs is like boring without a podcast, like I find myself less bothered by that if I've already dealt with silence early in the day. And it's still probably not enough. Like I'm still interested in listening to a podcast, but it's a little bit better. So whatever I do, I'm a little more in it, and I'm a little more quick at realizing that I'm totally not doing what I'm supposed to be doing, or not supposed to be, whatever. Productivity is such bullshit, but kind of that, where it's like I'm just distracted. I'm just watching YouTube for 4 hours that started when I ate a snack and thought I could just click on a video. It's that kind of thing.
Yeah, podcasts are weird.
Yeah,
they're fucked up because I don't know, they can just really get in there and fuck with shit.
Yeah, like
so Emma and I are together and we podcast and have been doing the Podchaost for 4 years now, and she's like, I'm kind of busy. I don't have as much time, so I'll be on less. I was like, oh, okay. And so we haven't recorded in a while, and I've noticed that since I'm not editing, watching me sit right next to her and stuff like that, I'm not getting that.
Right.
So I'm not seeing proof that we're hanging out. And so I'm like missing her way more, and I'm like, oh, why am I not around her? What's going on? And I just like have this whole panic. I'm like, oh, I haven't recorded a podcast and forced her to sit next to me for 2 hours straight just because. Yeah.
Well, here's a good connection to that. Honestly, I don't think I could be too specific.
We spent real time
but
together.
like,
nice.
yeah, which is great in a way. It's not as documented, you know. You don't feel.
Yeah, I'm not getting anything out of it.
It's not as punchy, you know.
I don't get to show people proof that we are next to each other.
That's right. Yeah. And she's not always on her game either. You know, she's not performing. So yeah, the punchlines are coming a little slower. You know, sometimes you got to like stay with the premise before you get to the funny part. Anyway, I don't know. Obviously, but so here's the other side of that, which is interesting. Yeah, this is crazy. So hanging out with normal people is tough for me, especially in groups, because it's an inversion of what I understand about social success. So in like when I talk to people,
I know what you mean.
When I talk to people,
so much.
I got to be at my best, and I'm a little less like I'm not like conscious like when I was a kid.
You
but
fucking
it's like
kill it, by the way.
That's nice of you
Socially.
to say. Thanks very much. I really. Again, if I'm gonna be around human beings for like an hour a day, I really gotta like try to be that way. But like, so that matters. But in a group, that's not how it is. Because, and I'm only figuring this out now at like 37, like the best part of a group is everybody should offer a little, and it should be kind of dumb. Because you want everybody to be included and be able to participate, because that's what feels like cohesion. So you want the dumbest person all the way up to the smartest person to be able to have something to say. So it's not, I talk in monologues, that's a problem. You want like people, you know, to do that. But it's different and better when you're around comedians, because we're all pretty hardcore, and that's like a fun thing. What I used to have to do with normal groups of friends was isolate the people who I like the best, get them one-on-one, and that was great, because then we can have a real conversation. With comedians, a lot of us are only best in that comedic thing. So I've tried to separate some of us from the herd and hang out one by one, and I always enjoy it when we hang out and stuff. Yeah, but it's not quite as good. Like we don't like the comedic group has a different dynamic and is it's better as a group.
You ever play hacky sack?
I could, and I have a little, not recently.
I mean, so if you're playing with one person,
yeah,
you drop it a lot more. Drop it a lot more.
Right. That's
Play
that's
with a lot of people.
Comparison.
Everybody can kind of just
Right.
Boop.
That's right. Yeah.
Beep. And you know,
or you
you
pretend like
you
you're
sit
going
there
forward.
for like you sit there for like a minute, nothing happens, and then you go like,
put it on my back.
Yeah.
Okay, now it's yours again.
Yeah. I didn't have I leaned forward without anything funny to say. Like, oh shit. Uh oh.
Yeah, that's how it is.
But that's what Zach Chappell is the perfect person for that, because he'll just stand in a group and not say anything for a while, and then he will come out and he'll say one thing, and it's the funniest thing anybody's ever heard all night after a comedy show. And it's like, all right, well, fuck.
You're building something together, right? I mean, that's
really,
how all conversations kind of are. But with comedians, it's great. But it's so weird to me.
And
like,
that's that's what I love about comedy, and that's what I am trying to like come around to embrace about comedy. Everybody's so different.
Yeah, right.
And there are, I mean, I had this whole like mentality when I went into comedy. I was like, there's only 12 types of people. That's it.
Huh.
There's like
I can see that
about that. And then now I'm into comedy. I'm like, yeah, but the 12 types of people all have different shades and flavors. God damn it, I was wrong. I hate being wrong.
It's so tough.
No, but it's nice to learn.
What you said is exactly right. And I think that's what you're getting to is like in comedy, that's what most of us are best at. Like, especially if we're hanging out after the show and we're not just like giving somebody mean looks until they leave or whatever. Like, it's like, no, like, why are you still here?
I literally said that to people. Why are you standing here with us? Why do you think you get to do this?
Or I mean, that's the thing too. Like,
I don't drink anymore.
One of the
I don't know if that had to do with it.
I just gotta say it. This is my drinking now, and you're a bad beer. Is what you are. I'm throwing you out of the carton. You're out of the cooler, and you're just gonna go skunky very quickly. Yeah, no, it's funny in relationships too, where like a good relationship is somebody where you know when you're being passive aggressive, so you can kind of own that, you know, and either be intentional or not. Just be like, yeah, okay. But like comedians as a group will be especially passive aggressive, where like one of the things we'll do, right, when somebody's joining the group that's kind of shouldn't be in the group, and that's the thing, people do get funny over time. We should be a little nicer, but whatever, we're not. Yes. So somebody will join the group and what they say won't work, and there won't be pleasant laughter. There'll just be silence. And we'll actually make the silence last longer. Like, as if to say, see, this is why you shouldn't be here. Like, this is what happens.
Yeah. Oh, man. That's
or
so
with
true.
Other comedians when we want to browbeat them and we're like, yeah, see, not everything you say is funny. You get this?
Yeah. Or if everybody understands that it's about to happen, everybody will jump on it.
Right. Yeah.
And go,
yeah.
no. Jeff, no. It's so fun to, as soon as you hear Jeff start to say something, just kind of like, everybody feels it, right? Everybody feels like it's going to happen. And he says something, and he's like, no, Jeff, bad. And he's like, what the fuck did I do? And you're like, I don't know. But it's so fun. So fun for us to give you shit.
That's great.
It's so great.
That's why bullying's so bad in comedy, because you can feel other people's discomfort, you know, and you're like, well, they're worried this is awkward. So guess what? It's gonna be, you know, like, yeah, your worst fears come true.
I live in this though, dude. Okay, one last thing we'll go back to. But so I've always been kind of like a punk kid, and like just like, you know, I just want to go places and do things that people wouldn't do. I like to walk up to a store clerk and just fart as loud as I can while I'm talking to them. It makes me laugh so much. So I was with my daughter, and this stuff still jumps up, and like I have to do it. So I was with my daughter, and we were just like driving by. Oh no, we were at a stoplight, and I had my window down, and so did the lady over here. And I just looked left, and I told the lady, I just yelled at her. I go, "Hey, I can't stop farting!" And then I just and I went, and my daughter was like, "What? Adults can do this?" I'm like, yeah, I don't know. It's just like, I thought it'd be really funny to yell at that lady that I can't stop farting.
Oh my God. Yeah, that punk energy is wild. I remember driving with my punk friend in college, whatever, like, and he was like, he was just screaming in his girlfriend's ear. He was like screaming the lyrics to this song, like out of love, but he didn't know how to express that love, you know? So he was just like, it's my life, you know, whatever, like, like, it was like,
well, I know Bon Jovi.
Yeah. Yeah, big Bon Jovi. He was a punk, right? When I said punk, I meant Bon Jovi. I hope that's clear. Yeah. God. Yeah, it's that if we were not in control of the energies we have, which is maybe the upshot of my experience. That's just how it is. Ugh.
Okay, so where did we leave off?
Let's see. It was food, and then it was email. Oh yeah. Do you watch something while you're eating food? I think that was the last direct one.
So how long does you said that holds you off until about lunchtime? So
yeah.
What time is your, you know, kind of smoothie sit down?
Yeah.
You said that varies.
Yeah, it really varies. I mean, so
you have like 3 different schedules, because like you have teaching schedule,
right? You
have days off schedule, and then you have summer schedule, which is still kind of work, right?
Yeah.
A little bit of work.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and the yeah, and it's also different because I'll teach different times during the day, and I usually teach 3 classes. So that means probably I have 2 classes where I'm teaching 4 hours a day, which is a pretty big drain, because 2 hours in front of 25 people is a lot, where you're kind of guiding them through. And then at least one or like, and then probably 2 other days that are either 2 hours, or one day that's like 3 hours, and that's a lot. But sometimes that's at night. It's just crazy. It's just a weird schedule. It's better than retail, which I have a whole thing about, because retail, again, those schedules are tough sometimes. But so the schedule kind of varies. But basically, I'll sometimes forget to eat for a long time because I'll get called in to teach, which will activate my adrenaline. And so then hunger won't hit me till like the afternoon maybe.
Dude,
so
that adrenaline of like, oh shit, I got to do something.
Yeah.
Like even coming here, I was like, okay,
yeah,
I got to go perform or whatever.
Yeah, right, yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. No, that's right. I mean, it's probably, I guess maybe there's like some evolutionary thing where you're like, I'm gonna have to kill Lars today. You know, like I don't know what's gonna happen if he comes at me. You know, like if he takes me to his house and turns out he's got some sex dungeon, I might have to murder my friend Lars. I don't know. So yeah. Anyway, if you have time, I do have like a basement. I'm just kidding. Yeah, I don't know, the adrenaline of intersocial reaction. You know, that's why it's so weird when you talk to somebody and they're totally relaxed. You know, it's like, what's going on here? It's almost more unnerving, you know?
Yeah. I have a hard time hiding the fact that I'm freaking out all the time. I had to stop a coworker yesterday. I mean, like, and I just had to say, "Hey, you're saying so many things. You're making me nervous because I'm backlogging my responses.
Right. Yeah.
So I don't know how to.
Something for that and something for that.
Yeah. And so I just told him that. And he just walked away from me. I was like, okay, sorry. I don't know what to say other than you're overloading me.
Yeah, it's too much.
Calm down.
How about this? I mean, again, I know I'm part of this because I talk in monologues, but I remember I had a roommate in college. He was a close friend. And once a week, he would just kind of like post up on like the door. It was more comfortable than this. Imagine the door is there. He just kind of post up on my door and just talk about what's going on in his life. I think in retrospect, I think he was like hard on the spectrum, you know? And he was like, he would just be like, and this and this. And I would be like trying to get in edgewise. He'd be like, yeah, and also this and this other thing. It's like, it's a lot. With him, I was like, well, you know, I'm not even going to respond. Mm-hmm. But if you actually want to respond and then you don't know where to start and maybe they're expecting you to respond, I could see why. That's tough. That's a tough thing.
Yeah. I don't know why I brought that up.
No.
But,
I mean, oh, no, I think it's the interpersonal thing and the adrenaline charge you get.
Yes.
So, yeah. So, yeah, I mean, it just totally changes my day. And, you know, yeah, it's like teaching is I mean, okay, so that's the other, you know, thing. I mentioned the three parts, right? It's like research, which is like the most chill, but kind of like on the day-to-day basis, it's very hard to get myself to do it. Fortunately, I have collaborators that makes it easier. If I'm writing with someone, I don't want to disappoint them. But then, and then service and committee work, which people care about, and it's like person to person, and then teaching. But teaching is this crazy adrenaline rush that's like a 2-hour performance, 12 times a week, and so it's like, that should almost be my whole job.
The fact that it's doing comedy, that's nothing.
It's I
guess it's more personal. It's like here's my insides.
Yeah,
this is me instead of.
Yeah, I still don't know. Well, okay, so it's different because you know how when you're performing for another person and you're like, I hope they think I'm normal, you know, or even I hope I'm convincing them of this thing, you know. It's persuasive, but it's not comedic. You don't need a reaction from them. You just need to be like, have them, you know, see you. That's more what teaching is like. But it's with 25 people. So I'm scanning them to see when they're bored and when they need a break, and I'm trying to make sure everybody's included. But it's not comedy because I don't need to make them laugh so often.
Right.
Also, I will get the feeling, like one of my favorite things about comedy is, and it's not a perfect science, but it's when you're like, okay, do I have the crowd tonight? And it varies, but I feel like for me, it's like if I tell a joke early and get them to laugh, then I've kind of got them for like a while. They'll give me like a minute or two to like get a rhythm. And then, you know, you still want to have stuff periodically. And if you really want to kill, you have to have the jokes be relatively dense, but they're kind of with you, you know? And if you get them early, you probably not. But if you lose them right away, so that dynamic is not really the same as teaching. Because teaching, I start by asking everybody how they're doing. I'm just like, hey, how's everybody doing today? And at some point my wife was like, if my teacher asked me how I'm doing, that would be like an invasion of privacy. So now I say, okay, do you have any like music or movie recommendations, any life events, any slang you've been exposed to, which fewer and fewer students are taking me up on, unfortunately, but it's been interesting. So that's like, we're just kind of sharing and chatting. But also I'm in charge and I have to teach them stuff.
I learned extra yesterday.
Oh, that's good. Extra's good. Yeah, that's a really good one.
I had no idea how it was being used now.
Who turned you on to it?
It was a podcast.
Nice.
But it was a younger lady on a podcast, and she was like, yeah, it was very extra. And they were like, extra?
Yeah, it's a great...
Oh, okay. Is that what the kids are saying? All right.
It's a great descriptor. I have something called Firewatch in my classes, which is, are people still saying things are fire? That's like, where are we at with that? And it's like we're about 50%
just
down.
That phrase, okay.
Yeah. Are things fire? Like I remember Nick Puente said something was fire, like before COVID, and I was like, that sounds pretty good on you. You know, he can kind of pull it off, but not everybody can, and it's too late for me. You know, like
what can't Nick
something
Puente
is
pull
fire? I don't know. Yeah, I can't do an impression of Nick as I say it either.
Jeff. I can only say Jeff's name as Nick. All right, Jeff.
I miss that guy. So, yeah. So anyway, so yeah, it's different. I mean, so the problem. So in terms of the question about whether being like doing comedy is nothing compared to teaching. It's nothing to talk to people and it's nothing to get on stage, but I can feel, and I've mentioned this sometimes to my detriment, like when I'm being too professory, because they're just listening, and I'm like, no, it's a joke. You know, like I'm just like I've stayed in that mode of you taking me seriously as a smart person, which is like my whole life's goal. But that's not comedy. You know, usually usually it's better if the opposite is the case. If they think you're dumb, you know, like then they're surprised if you say something funny. And I don't know, that's you know. That's tough.
That's the part about comedy that you don't want. You don't want anybody to go, well, you're dumb.
Yeah.
Because the worst thing for a comic is if they're dumb.
Right.
Kind of.
Right.
Because a comic can be a complete fucking idiot.
Right.
But still be hilarious.
Right. Well, and people walk that line. Like Zach walks that line, you know, of like,
yeah, but he's
saying something.
Smart.
Exactly. No, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, and my favorite comedian right now, all things considered, I think is Nate Bargatze. Are you a Bargatze
So funny.
fan? And he knows how to be dumb but smart, because he's obviously really bright in terms of comedy and probably a million other things, but he needs to be kind of dumb, you know? So I think he's kind of changing it up. He's like doing characters that are dumb, and he's pretending to, you know, he has the dog, but like, so like, yeah, like the dog is dumb, you know? So he's like talking in the voice of the dog. That's kind of dumb. His accent's changing, and you know, but so, yeah, so that's the problem.
He's got a perfect accent.
It's perfect. It's so pleasant. I mean, the Tennessee. It's like it's a great Southern accent. So, yeah. So when I'm in class, I can't sound so dumb that I don't sound like I can't. I have to sound like I know what I'm talking about. Yeah. And in comedy, I can't. I'm still working on my persona, I guess, but it can't be. You know, it can't just be. Believe me when I say this. You know.
Yeah.
Which I think changes the reality. Because that's what we were talking about before. You can just make stuff up, but it has to work within the construct of what you've made.
Yeah, you got to set. Yeah, you got to set like a universe for yourself.
Exactly.
Which I keep going back to Zach, but it's so funny with any of his comedy because he has no universe, or he has the entire universe of every dimension. Right. So it's like here's something that happened to me, and you're like, that's not even possible. He's like, well, it happened. Right. Okay.
The words, yeah, I mean, the things that can be funny in comedy are so crazy, right? It's like for him, it's just funny that he's saying it. Like it's just funny that you're saying it. Like it's, you know.
Yeah, if you were to hear a guy say, my mom taught me to shave my pussy, you'd be like, okay. But the way that Zach says it and just the whole, I don't know. He's got this blank stare. Kind of one of his eyes is like drifting a little bit off, and then he catches it back. I don't know. It's not really happening, but it seems like he's just not even really there. But
no, that's right. Yeah, it's so I don't know.
Just lets himself relax into like I don't know. You might as well be taking a dump or something. Just like he's no care. It's so fun to watch.
So anyway, that's the thing. So I think so that's another big impact on my day. That like I'll be teaching for a few hours. And I feel like that should be enough, you know, like maybe that's my whole job. And I can kind of seduce myself into thinking that like, well, you know, I got research and service, but really I'm a teacher. So that's enough. And so then sometimes if I have like really unproductive time, the rest of the time, I'm like, well, I didn't drop the ball on teaching. So that's kind of okay, you know? And then email's chaos because sometimes I'll get too many to respond to, but also, and I don't know, we're not totally like we're about the same age-ish. And so I don't know, like email still feels like not new, but like not something that I was born into doing, you know? Like it feels like I'm helping somebody else out if I'm answering email. It's not like an expectation.
It feels fairly antiquated when I emailed Emma's dad a couple times and I was like, oh, okay, yeah, I'll email him.
Like, should I fax him or what do you just
text him? Yeah, I got a phone. But I mean, you know, I get it, but I'm not. A lot of people, and he's one of these people that will get out of bed and go to the computer and be like, I've got to catch up on my stuff.
Wow.
And probably multiple times a day, but also that's what he does for a living is he works from his computer. Yeah.
So I don't know. So I think for myself, again, it'll be interesting to see what you find with other people. But for myself, my energy level and my emotional reaction and my level of tiredness, I think subtly controls a lot of what I do each day. And that ends up being like, what do I have the energy for today? I don't always put it in those terms, but that's kind of the thought.
So how long does that usually go if you're so it's about 3 hours if you're teaching?
Yeah. Yeah, like I'll teach a class for like 2 hours and then like once or twice a day, basically. So that's 4 hours of my day. And then, and then maybe I start optimally with some like research. So that's half an hour to an hour.
Do you have like snacks to the side of your computer?
No, like, it's catch as catch can. I mean, that's a good idea. But again, I'm trying to get up. I'm starting to stand up too. So like for the back stuff.
Oh, that's cool.
So yeah. So I try to, and in my classes, since they're so long, I try to have breaks there. So, optimally every 15 minutes. Usually it's closer to every half hour. Maybe
all right,
an hour,
guys, just watch me
like 5 minutes
for a couple minutes.
Yeah. No, turns out they're glad to take a break, and I'll take a break when we're in person too. Just like take 5. I'm just gonna do something. And you can even, I usually don't do this. You can kind of threaten them and be like, "You're not, I need more energy from you. We're gonna take 5, and when I come back, I need you to like give me more." And sometimes they'll do it.
Cool.
It's nice. Yeah.
Do you so is there any sort of like midday thing where you just kind of hit a wall and your energy level just dips? That happens to me almost every day.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I think it depends on whether I'm doing something else. But yeah, about like 12 to 2, somewhere in there,
okay.
I'll have like kind of a dip, and then if I'm teaching 12 to 2, which sometimes I am, I might feel a little later. Again, it's like it depends on what I'm eating also, like how much have I had and when is that catching up and that kind of stuff. And then have I convinced myself I've already done enough so I could kind of kick off early? Because sometimes I will wake up at like 6. So then it's kind of a whole day by 3. Who's to say?
Yeah.
That's the randomness is so weird.
So, okay. So after that, what do you do like right after that? Do you just kind of like walk around your house, pace around? And I do a lot of pacing around my house.
Yeah.
It's weird.
Yeah.
I'm not on my way anywhere.
No, that's right. Yeah. What is it?
Nice backyard here.
Yeah. Thanks.
Seems like
it's prime pacing area. I mean, I think that like for me, I haven't done a ton of pacing lately. Well, let's see. I got into a groove with my wife recently where we'd go to like an exercise class at like 5, and that was kind of nice. First of all, because like there's
in the
exercise classes are kind of nice though. Yeah. It's great. And then I'm just like, I did it, and I don't have to worry about it earlier, which is nice. So sometimes that'll create an artificial stop, and then it's like, okay, I got to get done whatever I'm going to get done before then. Now that it's summer, I'm trying to do, again, it's kind of chaos. I'm trying to do cooking during the day for her because she's real busy right now. So then there's some combination of cooking and getting stuff done and email and research and teaching. It's just, I don't know, like, I don't know if I'm bad at time, which I might be, or if I'm given too much to do, which was probably also true. Yeah, it's just it's so bizarre. But so in terms of like pacing and other stuff, one big thing that sometimes structures my day is if I'm not like working on email, I'll sometimes have a distraction in terms of doing something that feels like research but is not, like video game news or or watching a comedian that I'm thinking about using in one of my classes.
Still gets the same feeling out.
Well, I mean, it's important to understand what Blizzard's doing. I mean, this might come up, like in a future time, and it does come up in conversations enough. I mean, sometimes that's the whole basis. You know what I mean? Like, well, I mean, should they have canceled that game, Ghost or whatever? You know what I mean? Like, oh, well, this could be a whole conversation. Blizzard, I don't know. Are they as quality concerned as they once were? Is this Diablo 2 remake worth it? It's like, for certain people of our generation, it's important to know. It's fucking news. Like, it's actually, almost better than regular news. Or I'll go into a regular news hole. Sometimes that happens. That feels like that's worthwhile.
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
I do that, and then I try to, regurgitate something. I'm like, oh, did you hear about this? And someone's like, no, tell me about it. And I'm like, oh, that's what I just said. That's it.
I think I read the headline.
I read the headline, and then I clicked on the thing, and it said something about cookies, and I was like, I'm done here. I don't know if accepting cookies puts stuff on my phone.
That's right, yeah.
Or if I
horrifying.
Yeah, I don't want to subscribe also to the Daily Mail or whatever, wherever I am. Everything is the National Enquirer now, so just like
it does feel that way.
Cool Dracula babies everywhere.
That's right.
Back to vampires.
Yeah. So
Hillary Clinton.
Yeah. Poor HRC. Or not.
Oh. So okay. So usually in like a dinner making kind of mode?
Yeah. Sometimes I'll do that. Which again,
what kind of dinners
it's
do you
like,
make? Is this like a normal thing, or are you like a grill guy?
yeah, it really depends. We have a grill now, or like a smoker, which has been interesting. This Traeger, but it's like that's a whole other story. But like the for me, it tends to be I think, were we talking about this? Like, no, I was talking about my dad. Like, sometimes one of my issues, I've had to adopt the mantra, do the minimum, because my minimum is still pretty solid.
Yeah.
And if I did the minimum, maybe I could get done the basics of what I need to do every day.
Mm-hmm.
But usually, I don't really see the difference between doing something that's normal and elaborate. And I also don't see the difference between elaborate and really elaborate.
Yeah.
So if Laurel's like, make dinner, I'll be like, okay, well, I'll make like a roasted chicken, and I'll like cut up all this garlic, and I'll make a mousse. And she's like, wow, this is incredible. But like, I don't get why that's that much more intense than making a sandwich. Like, I really don't, because I don't have a good sense of time, you know? So that could take forever. So I've been making these kind of elaborate, like, New York Times meals. And some of them are pretty quick, so I try to focus on the ones that are not that bad. But, like, yeah, I'll make a lot, you know? I'll make, like, macaroni and cheese and smoked meat and, like, all this stuff, because I just don't get time. Like, I don't have a really great conception of that.
Well, and if you don't have to worry about it right now that much, then why would you?
Summer's a little bit easier.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think I'm getting slightly better at having my instincts.
Well, there's not like a little fucking
also I don't
kid around here going like, ugh.
Right, that's a big deal.
Can I have some of that?
When am I going to get fed?
When can I eat?
It's going to be another 8 hours, man.
Dude, when she comes up to me and she goes, can I have food? I'm like, oh, yeah, I don't eat as much. Yeah, dude, it's in there. She makes her own food now, which is great. It's insane.
Perfect. That's so great.
She made, from start to finish, the first time, completed a full macaroni and cheese.
Wow.
Stovetop, did the whole, like, boiling water, doing the whole thing.
That's really great.
I was in the shower. I was like, oh, God, if she fucks this up. Yeah.
You'd hear about it pretty quick, I think.
Yeah, but still, it was scary.
Great.
But yeah, no.
That's amazing. Great. Yeah, so I don't know. So I think... it took my mom and I both realized this recently. She's like 66 and I'm 37, and she was like, what if we, with the infinity number of things we could do, we started by doing the thing that we would be punished if we didn't do next. You know, like okay, my spouse is coming home from work. I told them that I would clean the floor. Well, I could do that, or I could play a video game, or I could read about the news, or I could deal with okay, what if first I cleaned the floor and then I did something else? Like, that's literally been a recent discovery in my life. Like, oh, you just do the most important thing for, like, and I'm still like, I'll still be like, well, I could do something first. It's like, well, it might get lost, man. You got to like do it now.
Right there, that's one of the things that I'm gonna take. Taking that.
Yeah.
Just because, like, duh.
Right. No.
But also,
I just realized
I've never really thought about it like that.
Right.
In that specific way. So yeah.
Well, and I don't. Do well, and my wife.
Watch my productivity. Oh shit!
It's gonna
look at everybody.
In like 2 weeks, you're like wearing a suit. You're like, like actually got the corporation associated with podcast. But so the so like that's like so doing the most important thing first, like that ends up being really important. Oh yeah, here we go. My mom and I both have probably some version of ADHD, not sure what it is. And I don't want to downplay the official diagnosis. So I shouldn't say that, but I should only say that.
It's like when people say, oh, I got OCD.
I know. And I don't want to do that. So I should say, I'll just say my mom and I have attention issues that have fortunately for us, not risen to the level of challenge that we've had to be medicated for it. But it feels, we have like some sort of, it was helpful to know that attention is an issue because it has helped explain to us. We hyper-focus on one thing and then can't break away from it, or we're a little scattered. It kind of depends. But anyway, so the figuring out doing the important thing first, that's been great. But the other thing that I think I'm working against is that some people who have attention issues, they rely over time on the adrenaline of the last minute.
Yep.
And that also becomes where you get your
shit.
pleasure from.
That's where I am.
Because you're like I remember there's a movie called Hero that came out in like the 90s. It's Dustin Hoffman, Andy Garcia.
Oh.
No, that's probably the good one. It's this dumbass movie. It was like third tier. It doesn't even matter. And it was like I had to write an essay on Sunday for a class on Monday. It was in high school. But I started to watch this movie, and I knew I shouldn't, and I've never been more happy watching a movie. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't even get to finish it because my parents got home, and I had to go back to pretending like I was, like, writing the essay. But it was the purest pleasure because I wasn't supposed to be doing it. And once you tap into something like that, it's very hard to be like, well, I should finish all my chores first, and then I'll be able to watch a movie. It's like, no. You got to get that last minute, shouldn't be doing it. Yeah. You know, like that's when you know what like to have leisure is. You know what I mean?
That's my favorite stuff.
It's the best. Watching a movie during the day. Holy shit.
I try to not like live in that space. Like every time I'm in that space, I'm like, I hate it here. But I push myself into that space constantly. Okay.
Yeah. No, that's it. I mean, that's why comedy's late. You know what I mean? Because like a lot of comedy, it's like, no, we shouldn't be here. The crowd shouldn't be here. Your next day is shot. You know what I mean? Like those open mics that start at midnight. It's like no responsible person is on the stage or in the audience. I mean, I'm generalizing a little bit, but do you know what I mean? Like, anyway, but so long term, and again, I'm 37, so it's a little late, but it would be like, I'm wondering if I can get the foothold of doing the most important thing first. Maybe I can get to the point where I do enjoy entertainment, you know, like a movie or whatever, when I'm supposed to be responsibly watching it. Mm-hmm. But that's a life goal that I'm not even close to yet.
Yeah. So that's heavy. That was like, you know, when like something hits and you're like, that was like a few flurries of just gut punches.
Yeah, I mean,
because it really does make sense because it's so simple, and like a lot of those thoughts. But it's stuff that I think it's simple enough to where that's almost avoided.
Yeah,
it's like, well, it can't just be that simple. Just to handle stuff that makes sense and it's right in your face.
Well, and here's the maybe the toughest thing is. When you have some sort of a makeup, by the way, it would be, we'll see what you end up doing with the series, but it would be interesting to talk to somebody who is real straight laced, right? Like somebody who's maybe not in comedy, like who's just like, yeah, I woke up at this time and I get this time and this is like how it goes.
Yeah.
Because for me, like we were talking about, like, wouldn't that be great in a way if you had somebody guiding you through, telling you what to do at different points, but it would feel so unbearable. And so like something to buck and like just get out of, it would be really unenjoyable. But I don't know what mechanism that is, but it's weird, you know, like it's weird or it's a challenge. Like school is a challenge. Yeah, if you're never comfortable.
I want to be told what to do, but I hate authority.
Exactly. What do you do with that? No idea.
You put yourself in the screaming space.
Right. Yeah.
That's the only thing I know how to do.
Yeah.
Okay, so so dinner's done. That was great. You finished your moose, and you know, you and your beautiful wife have just held hands, staring in each other's eyes for an hour.
No, she is the most down with watching something while we eat. She is way down there.
She's like, I really got to forget my day. Just please let me just erase that.
She's so busy. She's like, I can't eat and watch something. So if you want to like, and she's like, I want to watch something, you know. So yeah, so at this point I've made the food, hung out with her, forced her to compliment it like enough, you know what I mean? Like she's probably like, oh, it's pretty good. And then I'm like, no, I'm gonna need more than that. Like this, you know, it's a roast chicken. So like so then
pretty good. 1 compliment, 1 hour. This took 4, so let's
exactly
keep going.
Right. Yeah. I mean, like every 10 bites I want you to say something else. So then lately we'll see. But for a while I was trying to get up earlier, but basically I'll be like, she'll be like, oh, I'm like, she's like falling asleep as she's eating. So I'm like, okay, you go to bed. I'll actually also clean the dishes. So now I'm cleaning the dishes, usually listen to a podcast. That's the next thing. And that's kind of my night.
Podcast while dishes that feels great.
It's great. It's perfect. It's the perfect thing. And then, you know, sometimes you're like, well, I got to keep listening. So you're drying or doing a little something else, you know, like around
the
cleaning the surfaces.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the wall is
yeah.
Oh shit! Look at that. Oh, weird.
Maybe we can finally get out the stainless steel cleaner and like give this refrigerator a scrub. Yeah, so it's a whole thing. And then that
was a brag, by the way. Lars just letting everybody know that
stainless
about his
steel fridge, no big deal. It's probably not stainless steel. It looks worse every time I do it, but it's whatever plastic it is. It's pretty convincing. So, yeah, I is it stainless steel?
It's got the brushed steel finish on the
stainless steel. If you put a magnet on it, it just falls right away. Is that stainless steel? For sure it's not. So, yeah, so we were talking before, like the nighttime ends up being psychologically really important because it's so calm.
Mm-hmm.
That's great. But then, of course, I'm trying to deal with this, but I'm drawn to disrupt that calm with a video game.
Yeah.
Especially one that is immersive enough, maybe while listening to a podcast, that's just, it's like when they talk about surfing, like this is all I can do. Like I'm just trying to listen and like play. Like this is my whole attention.
Yeah. Like you're saying because surfing requires everything.
Yeah,
in
that's
your
like Laird Hamilton's. Like if I move, I'm dead. Like I gotta like be in this tube, and I'm like, yeah. If I can't like follow the Action Boys and play Borderlands 3, then it's
That's how golfing's been for me.
I believe it.
Yeah, because I'm just getting better every time I go now. It's great.
We talked about going. I'd love to go.
I think we really should. I think I'm gonna start. Hustling people.
Nice.
I think that I would like to do that. I don't know how to like start because I can't just go there and be like, "Hey, play it for money." Okay, that's not how that works. But I would just like to go play a lot more golf. My daughter, I got her a set of shorter clubs, and she's.
Yeah, it was a fly.
Okay, cool. She's good.
That's awesome.
Yeah, she's hitting it like 100 yards.
Wow.
And I'm like, what the fuck?
That's incredible.
Also, one more golfing thing.
Mm.
So Emma has this weird thing about her where if she's interested in something, she can learn it and then be really good at it really fast.
That's amazing.
So Beat Saber, I was killing it in Beat Saber. She is so much better than me at Beat Saber now. Do you know how upsetting that is? It started being upsetting, and then I was like, I got this like weird feeling inside of me. I was like, I'm so happy. What the fuck is this?
Wow, nice.
Why am I so happy to see her go, oh, that looks intimidating, and now be like, I just beat every single one of your scores. And I'm like, so I'm not the best person at Beat Saber anymore. It's
a great
awesome.
feeling. I mean, maybe like after, playing video games solo forever, right? Like actually having somebody who's like, working with you. Or that
she also likes video games.
That's
and
perfect.
that's a new thing to me. And she's like, no,
relief.
I like playing video games. And I'll be sitting there playing something, and then she'll come in, and I'll be like, oh, I can change this. I'll turn it off. And she's like, what? No, I'll watch. I'm like,
that's a miracle.
It's a trick. What is this? I don't get it.
That's so great.
This is going to come back later. She's going to be like, you fucking play video games.
Remember that? I watched you for hours.
Nope.
You forced me.
And then there's times that I watch her play video games for like hours.
That's great.
But it's Katamari, so I'm just like, what the fuck are you doing? What is this crazy? And she's just... This is
a compulsion.
I love so much having complete differences. And like that's another thing. People are different.
It's nice. Yeah, it's chilling. Mm-hmm. It's chilling to realize that people are different, and then that means you probably can't forget about the importance of human life. Ooh, whoops.
This is stupid. Okay, so your chill time kind of goes. I assume your wife goes to bed at a reasonable time.
Reasonable time.
And then you're up for a while. So do you take any sort of time? So she goes to bed. You're like, watch this. I'm gonna go put a bunch of colors and excitement and noises into my head.
Right.
And so after you're done with that, do you play games, or do you have that time until you are like nodding off?
No, because I don't. I mean, well, if it's like 4 a.m., yeah. Mm-hmm. But that's the thing. Like lately, I have realized it's like with the. I guess it's the blue light. I don't know. Like the thing that just seems to keep me awake. Mm-hmm. Like, really, I can't. Yeah, I have to take like some melatonin or something to like get me down because, I'll just play forever. Like I
have
could
you
be up
been
till
using
6.
Have you been using those glasses? Do you do that?
No.
Or is that just kind of like
yeah. No,
seems like a good idea.
That's right. Yeah, we did it that one time, and I was wearing the orange thing. I mean, they totally block the blue light, but they also make your whole life orange. So it's like, well, what's the point of a video game if it's like the color is
Might
the
as
whole
well have a
thing?
bladder infection.
Yeah.
If anybody's had a bladder infection, they know about that.
Oh, that's right. That's
the
right.
pill that makes your piss so orange it stains everything. Just everything. The color orange is ruined to me now because anytime somebody even mentions orange, I'm like, ugh. I had an orange toilet once.
Yeah, it's hard. I mean, so I don't know. So it's like, so it ends up being that.
What is your routine as far as like just before you get into bed? I'm dealing
with this right now. It's really unsatisfying. Here's the thing. I like the morning, so I can get up early.
Mm-hmm.
But if I get up early, that means either I have to, like, whoever I'm with, I have to be like, gotta go to bed now, goodbye. You know, which is like very alien to me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so that's hard. Laurel, you know, my wife goes to bed early. I can go to bed with her, and that's actually kind of okay. Except the day's been very unsatisfying because it's like, okay, wait, I made dinner, and then we watched something, which is fine, like an hour or whatever, tiny amount of time, and then I cleaned up.
Where was my Lars time?
Yeah, exactly right. And then I'm just like, so then that's it. I cleaned the dishes and went to bed, and then got up in the morning so I could do my fucking back exercises and get work done. What is this? This isn't a life, you know?
Yeah.
But then if I'm up, I'm like, oh, I'll just play a video game. It's like, wait, okay, I'm starting at 10. And I kind of do buy that thing now where they're like, yeah, the blue light will keep you up for about 2 hours. So I'm going at 10, I'm going to play 10 to 12. If I'm able to stop myself, maybe going to bed at 2. So it's just tough.
But if the blue light keeps you up for 2 hours,
yeah.
If you start at 10, you're going to play till 12. Mm-hmm. Doesn't the blue light keep you up until 2?
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. So, yeah, it's brutal. Well, not brutal. I mean, this is the fucking easiest life in the world. But like, it's still, you know, like it's, yeah, it's a shame.
Aren't you playing on a PS5 or something
games?
too?
No.
Okay.
No. That's, yeah, we got to figure that out. But no, no, it's like a PC, which is pretty great. But so like, yeah, it's, yeah, I don't know. I mean, that's the thing. Like, I can't scratch all the itches of my day, which is fine. Mm-hmm. But I have the inclination to do that, you know? To be able to like do all the stuff I want to do.
One of the things that will sit with me for the rest of my life is the American Dad episode where they take the pill that makes you not sleep. You don't have to sleep. So he stays up all night playing video games, and his wife goes to college. So she just gets like 5 doctorates or whatever, and he just gets fat, and he's like, "Dude, I beat so many video games," and she's like, "Okay, we're divorced." just
no, that's
ruins his
real.
life.
It's like I remember there was some SAT question or something. They give you these little bits of essays, and sometimes that was tough for me with attention because it was like, this essay sounds fucking great, but it's like no. The point is to like get through the exam. So one of them was like somebody espoused the idea. What if you lived forever? Well, they were like, well, I think there'd be 2 types of people. There'd be people who just were like, okay, infinite amount of time to get stuff done. And other people like, well, infinite amount of time to hit the snooze alarm. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, well, I'll eventually get to it. And I was like, oh, yeah. And I was like, well, obviously, the better life is to get stuff done. Mm-hmm. But if I'm being honest about myself, I'm definitely hitting the snooze, right? Because
what's the point?
There's also, there's no reason, like there's no deadline. Mm-hmm. And that I think that's a really telling example, you know, and I still, I don't know what to do with it.
That's a good question to ask yourself.
Yeah.
Which one would you be?
Right. And so that's my philosophy of do the minimum, which is like maybe how I've been able to get anything done. Because it's like, we'll just do a tiny thing.
Once again, better than nothing.
Yeah, better than nothing. And and really, if you're being honest, most people don't do the minimum. So great, you know, like, you're holding it up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So how much sleep do you get?
Well, I don't have really, like, my schedule tends to be pretty loose. So sometimes if I'm excited about what I'm doing, or if there's a video game that just came out and I'm kind of getting into that groove and really enjoying it, then I can stay up a little later and then, again, wake up in time to teach my class and then get more work done, mm-hmm. work into the evening until either I need to teach or, you know, just tell my wife I can't cook. So then I'm, like, working more there. So, yeah, I mean, I tend to get a lot. I remember going to a doctor when I was a young professor, like when I started being a professor, and being like, I think I have a sleep problem because I'm staying up so late. And he goes, well, how much sleep are you getting? I'm like, I don't know, 8, 10 hours. And he's like a doctor who I think later had like a nervous breakdown because he was like, well, I was like, he goes, I'm leaving the practice. And I go, what?
I keep having people telling me they're getting plenty of sleep.
Yeah. He was like, I'm going to actually study with a country doctor. I think I'm going to learn a lot. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, it obviously seemed like something was going on. He wasn't telling me. You know what I mean? Like, who stops being a doctor to work with a country doctor?
What's that mean?
What are you talking about? I don't know. He was like, I'm just going to go off. Like, there's this rural area. I'm going to work with a specialist.
Oh, like a
I think it's
yeehaw?
going to be good for me. I think so.
Okay.
Yeah, like a yeehaw doctor. And so he's going to work with this yeehaw doctor. But yes, I remember like pretty vividly. I think he was just having some problem, and the yeehaw doctor was like a cover, you know. So I remember him being. I remember like, oh, I'm sleeping up, staying up late, whatever. He goes, how much sleep are you getting? I'm like, I don't know, 8. Sometimes 10. And I feel like I remember him being like, like really
must
upset.
Be nice, dude.
Yeah, exactly. Like some people get a lot less than that. You know, like, oh, okay. Some people have to be up in the morning. I talked to my therapist about this. He's like, yeah, dude, I got to be here right now, so it's not okay. You know. So, yeah, so it ends up being all right. Or, as has happened recently, because now where I sleep, I get more sunlight. I actually kind of do get up early, and then sometimes it doesn't register that I'm staying up late. So it's like 4 hours, and that can happen for like a few weeks.
Does that even hit you, really?
It does and it doesn't.
If you get 4 hours, do you feel it?
I think it takes. I take a hit to my willpower and my patience.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, there's some
yeah.
mornings where I'm a little more sluggish, and I feel that, and I go, oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I stayed up last night.
Right.
Okay.
Or a few nights ago and I'm still dealing with it. Or you get to bed at an early hour. Like I used to be like, oh, I'll go to bed at 8 or whatever. And then I'm still sleeping till like 8 in the morning. And I'll be like, oh, yeah, because I stayed up so late, you know, these previous days, that kind of thing. So
I sleep so insanely regularly and heavily and normally
nice.
Now that I don't drink.
Oh, yeah, I could see that.
It's so weird because, like, I would just wake up and I'd wake up in the middle of the night and get up.
Wow.
And be like, oh, I don't know. I don't know what's going on. I one time got up, out of bed, went pee, and then luckily Zach wasn't home because I got in his bed and went to sleep. I had no idea. And like Emma was over, and she was like, she peeked in there, and she's like, "What are you doing?" And I was like, "I don't know." Oh, I used to drink so much.
How long have you been roommates with Zach? It's been a long time, I guess.
Yeah, 3 years.
Oh, wow.
Like that.
That's not bad. Nice.
Yeah.
I bet it's been more than that. Only 3? No, because you've been in your current residence since before the pandemic, right?
No,
it's been this
August.
year. Oh, okay. Time.
Yeah, August.
Not good at time.
And then, it was like 2 years before that, so almost 3 years.
Okay.
Maybe.
Oh, yes. No, you're right. You would know because of the right. Okay. Yeah, never mind.
Something like that. It was a house fire.
Right. Yeah. No, I was like, yeah, I'm not gonna know more than Chad about the timeline of his living situation.
Also, that whole bounce around area was the most I've ever drank. So it's just like, I remember walking home through the Capitol Park and just looking down. I was pissing my pants. I was like, okay.
Were you having grand thoughts about the Capitol or anything, or were you just kind of?
I was just on my way home.
dead-eyed?
I was just on my way to a toilet, and I was like, I don't think I can hold. Nope.
Wait, the Capitol
definitely
Park,
cannot.
like the Capitol Mall?
Oh, maybe that's what it's called. You know where the Capitol is?
Yeah.
You know the big park that
Where
has
were you?
the weird
Yeah, the sculpture. Yeah. Wait,
Looks
where
like
were you
this.
coming from?
downtown.
Okay.
So
wait.
I for like
Oh yes,
3
yes,
months
yes, yes. You were
I
living,
slept
right.
on my ex-wife's couch.
Oh, okay, so you were going.
So I was
east?
walking to her. Yes.
Okay, got it.
Yeah,
I was
so
like,
just
yeah, why are you
walking through
going?
there.
Yeah, I thought
Just pissing my shorts. It was nice because I just kind of like did one of these and I moved it. I started pissing in my shorts. I saw it and I was like, oh no. Yeah, I saw it. I didn't feel it. I saw it. That's the bad part. So then I moved the shorts. I just, you pull and you just do the whole thing. Like,
that's great.
I understand how that's nice job, women. That's a great move there. Pull it to the side.
We saw somebody doing that in Portland this weekend with my parents. Yeah. Oh, that was a guy though. He just like dropped trowel.
Oh, and he peed out of his vagina?
Close. Yeah. It looked. I thought so. Yeah. And then, public nakedness in Oregon's really out of control. Well, I've only seen a few.
That was a fun thing that in a conversation because Emma was talking and somebody was talking about like a gynecologist, and Emma, the most woke person that we know, pretty much. She goes, yeah, but it was a lady. And then somebody in Portland goes, men can have vaginas too. And you just see Emma go like, okay, I know. Come on. Really?
Give me on a technicality.
Because it really was like we're going to stop this conversation just so I can sneeze Portland on you real quick.
Right. Oh my God. Yeah. Yeah. The question of whether to say something when something like that comes up. Yeah. That's managed to like a greater or lesser extent by, yeah, that's a tough call. The bravery of Portland.
Is that what it is? Well, Lars, thank you very much for being on here with me. How day you do. That is how day Lars do.
It's my pleasure to be here. I'm excited to see the rest of this series.
Yeah, me too. This is really fun, and I'm happy to be doing something by myself. It's cool to not have a team and just be able to go boom, boom, boom. Just go do it. Anyway, thanks for watching, everybody.
Thanks very much. Should we plug things?
Sure.
Oh no, I guess it'll depend on the timeline, right?
Yeah, I don't know when this is coming out.
Yeah, I'm Lars Soderlund.
Look him up.
I have an email mailing list. That's probably the best thing.
Really?
You could find me on Facebook.
You have
yeah. It's not great, I'll forget, oh, I got to do that, and then it's the day before. Hey, come out to my show tomorrow. Don't forget, that kind of thing. But yeah, it's been okay.
Wow, you have an email mailing list. So if somebody,
I don't know how people find me. I have no.
I know, but if someone wants to get on your email mailing list, how can they do that?
Oh yeah, okay. So my email. My email is lars@soderlund.com. LARS at SODERLUND.com.
How'd you do that?
My dad has Soderlund. My dad's had Soderlund.com forever, and I always wanted to do it. And I've had Lars at Soderlund.com for years.
Dad,
but I got nervous.
Can I get a part of this?
Give me Soderlund. Give me the Lars though. He's like, I'm actually using the Lars. Yeah. So I finally wrestled it out of his old hands. Yeah.
You're not a junior, right?
No. He's Eric with a C.
Cool. Well, so email lars@soderlund.com.
That's right. Yeah.
So email
link
him.
in the description below.
Get on your email machine, and then send him an email. Yeah, and just you're already on the podcast. Okay. Yeah. Anyway, bye everybody. Thank you.
Nailing it.